Josh, welcome to the show.
Hey,
great to see you, man.
Thanks for being here.
Good to have you. Guys, remember, like, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify. Let's do all that. Josh Saunders, ADCC competitor. You done pretty well for yourself in the competition circuit, mate?
Yeah, I came top 4, which is not what I was there for, but still a pretty impressive sort of ride. I've only been doing it for 4 and a bit years. So,
yeah.
There's a lot of, obviously, detractors on the internet like you suck, and I'm like, yeah, I'm meant to. I've been doing it for a third of everybody else that has been doing it in the competition that I'm in. So
yeah.
I'm more than comfortable with that. I'm more than okay with that. I'm not expecting to be a complete world beater at the very beginning of a career. So
what got you into Jits?
Funny story, COVID happened, shut down my online PT business and my in-person personal training business.
Where were you at PT at?
Castle Hill, which is probably about
just up the
35 minutes.
Closer
to where I live.
Okay, yeah.
Closer to where I live. And,
Fitness first?
No, thankfully not. I was at a standalone gym. They're not a franchise. They're actually a part of an RSL club. So they're like really well off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
State-of-the-art equipment, swimming pool, sauna, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And really good client base too, because a lot of those guys bought houses in the 80s and just rode the equity.
Okay.
And so they had heaps of spare change for Range Rovers and personal training and useless shit that
Keep chatting away,
that we have. And
we're good.
Yeah, so COVID shut down everything, and best mate of mine, Zach, he was living in Marsden Park, it's not too far away from there, and he said, do you want to do some karate in the garage? And I'm like...
Karate?
Yeah, all right.
Like actual karate?
No, he just said that. That was like his
just fucking
statement.
around.
Yeah, like out of Step Brothers.
Yeah.
And so I went over there, and there was 3 of us, 3 who had trained, and myself who'd never trained and never done anything else. And I basically put them all into side control and squeezed the living daylights out of them. And they were like...
Because your background was professional rugby league.
Yeah. And they were like, we've been training for like 3 and 6 months respectively, and there's not a fucking single thing we can do to you. You're going to have to do this.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, fair enough. I'd thrown a little bit of a dabble at powerlifting, never competed, and I'd been 3 years retired from rugby, so I kind of needed to like a competitive urge to go after. Yeah. And you would know this, the competitive urge in personal training is zilch. So I'm like, I'm not getting this fire fueled within me. Got my license back from 4.5 years off, which is another story, but 24th of July 2020, my first ever official class.
Got your license back from what?
Drink driving, suspended driving.
Oh, driver's license. Go.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck happened there?
Yeah.
Bit of boozing.
That was only the one occasion, but when I did do it, I was 30 Ks over and I was also suspended. So they disqualified me after that. Yeah. And then I went, if I have the physical capabilities of driving, I'm going to drive anyway. So I just kept doing it. Got caught coming down the freeway from the Central Coast on my phone, taking a photo of the back of a van that said like gas, grass or ass, no one rides for free or some shit. I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, that's Instagram worthy. I'll put that up.
Yeah,
exactly
and a fucking
right.
couple went past you.
No, he was behind me.
Oh, fuck.
And I didn't lie to him. I said, look, okay, fair enough. I took the photo. But what I did lie to him about was the fact that I was my brother. Me and my brother looked very similar at the time. I didn't have cauliflower ears and everything. And so I got away with that one. Well, I didn't because he ended up getting charged for it and then I ended up taking some flack for that from him, which is understandable.
Fair enough.
And then about 3 weeks later, similar thing happened. I was having lunch on the way to footy training. Yeah. I was in the passenger seat of the car. Some guy cut me off. I hit the brakes. Food went flying. Yeah. Rice, chicken, everything. Trying to scoop that up just before the traffic light goes green. Yeah. Took my seatbelt off because I couldn't reach the last little bit.
As I highway patrol there, bang.
As I sit back in the chair, highway bike right next to me. And he would have watched the whole thing, but I did take my belt off, which is illegal, which is fair enough. And he goes, what are you doing? I was like, oh, my lunch and blah, blah, blah. He goes, pull over.
Just for those listeners who don't understand Australia, highway patrol, they'll pull you up for anything. Anything. They want to pull you up.
It's their duty.
Revenue collecting.
It's their duty. Yeah. And so anyways, I tried to pull the same trick with him, but he was a little bit of an old dog. He was old school. He knew the tricks. Yep. And so he looked up the surname and he realized there was 3 of us. There's me, my brother, my sister, and they're twins. And he goes, you look like that one that has court photos that match your face. Because I'd already been to court a bunch of times and I'd taken photos and fingerprints and whatever else. And yeah, he picked up the fact that it wasn't me and he goes, mate, what are you lying for? Like, what are you doing that shit for? And then I ended up going to court again for that. He actually said to me on the day, he goes, you're lucky because if you got caught up near the Central Coast, there's more people in jail there for road traffic crimes than there is anything else.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, because of how sparse the landscape is, they all drunk drive and they all get suspended driving and whatever else.
And they just keep doing it over and over.
Keep doing it all the time, never learn their lesson, and then they just get sent straight to jail. So I was this close to going, ended up getting a suspended sentence in community service. So it's like basically you're a good behaviour bond for 12 months. If you do anything wrong, you'll go straight back.
Yeah.
and did community service at a Salvo's in Windsor, which is a shithole, not too far away from here. Learnt my lesson, stuck the 4, it was 52 months total. I couldn't drive.
Right.
Stuck that, started jiu-jitsu, basically turned everything around since then, haven't had a problem since.
There you go. So, yeah, basically just fucking up your mates in the garage. Then you stuck in.
Yeah.
So when did you start? Did you start with Sydney West Academy?
I didn't. I started a little gym in Balcombe Hills called Galeb Brothers.
Okay.
It was a guy originally, Fabio Galeb, who moved from Brazil to Penrith.
Okay.
And then he pissed off some bikies by slapping up one of their sons or something like that. I don't remember the full story. So he fucked off to the Gold Coast.
That's a classic for West Sydney, isn't it? You just piss off the wrong person.
Oh, yeah. Language barrier, something like that. Someone touched your girl's ass. You don't know who they are. You slap them.
Yeah. Not what you want to do in Western Sydney.
No.
Yeah.
No. You'd rather talk your battles out through first.
Yeah.
And so I ended up starting at one of his gyms down here. It was the first one in New South Wales. And ended up loving it immediately.
You were just going to normal classes?
Yeah, just normal classes.
Cool.
We did...
once a day, twice a day?
It was only once of an afternoon. There was no morning classes.
Yep.
And it was no gi, no gi, and then gi on the Saturday.
Got it. Caught in prison. So you're just getting stuck into that.
On puzzle mats. The amount of punishment my toes have copped. And since moving from that gym, haven't copped.
Yep.
You train on puzzle mats, you're taking the piss.
You get fucked, yeah.
Oh, not even worth it.
Mat burn, toes, everything.
It's just the toes and the fingers. And that was a gi as well. Like, I hated training in the gi because it would always come out. My hands would fucking hurt. I'd have fingers twisted and everything else. And because we're white belts, we're all spastic. Everything's 1,000%.
Gripping so hard.
Yeah.
Hands get just fucked.
Didn't realise that wasn't the case. And
so how long did you train there for? When was the process you came to come train with Luke?
So I was there for 6 and a bit months until my privates coach at the time, Josh Saunders, he's a good brown belt currently. He was a purple belt back then.
Yeah.
We were doing private lessons in his garage.
Okay.
On puzzle mats as well.
Yeah.
And
you love these puzzle mats, mate.
I'm glad I don't have to touch them anymore.
Yeah.
So he said to me, he goes, look, if you want to take this pretty seriously, like you do want to ride in competitions, I'd gone undefeated, basically like 90% submission rate.
When did you get stuck into your first comp?
7 or 8 weeks after I started training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went full hell for leather. I just went, I want to do this.
Because you got that competitive background, you're like, fuck yeah, let's get stuck in.
Well, I'm not going to do anything that I don't want to, like, I want to be the best at whatever I do. So that was a very easy decision for me. I was like, I'm not going to prepare myself for competition. I'm going to go and throw my fucking body in the ring, see what happens.
Yeah.
And then found out I love that even more than training. So I was like, oh, sweet. How good's that?
Yeah.
And now I can train to feed that and compete to feed training and vice versa. And I was like, this is just a match made in heaven. It's fantastic.
Sweet.
I was hooked straight away.
Yep.
Straight away.
So you're there for about 6 months and...
6 months. I competed 3 times in that period, and then in month 7 I ended up getting my blue belt, and then that was when I pretty much moved here full time because they had morning classes. So originally I was doing the morning classes here. I was doing the afternoon classes at my original gym, and then I dropped the gi classes from my original gym and picked up the no gi here because we abolished the gi ages ago. And then I was doing a hodgepodge mix of both, and I'd sometimes go back to the old gym, and then over a period of maybe 8 weeks, I'd just full time here. 2 a day, 3 a day, every day.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you doing for money at the time?
Online PT still.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was actually interesting how it happened. As soon as the in-person stuff sort of folded away, I did not have enough money to be able to quit my job.
This is all COVID times as well.
This is second lockdown now.
Okay.
Yeah. So second lockdown, we were definitely not illegally training at Luke's basement with these blue mats behind us.
Definitely not. No way.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And so I was still doing online PT and all that, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to do the in-person thing anymore, but I don't have enough money to be able to quit that. And then I kind of just came to the decision that I was going to do it regardless.
Yep.
I was making like $300 a week, and rent was more than that. And I was like, I like training jiu-jitsu a lot.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then really pushed hard on the online stuff, got a bunch of people behind me, ended up turning that around quite quickly. And then I realized all of a sudden, I was like, everyone that's coming to me is a blue belt. All of them.
Most of your online PTs were jiu-jitsu people?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was like,
how did that happen?
That's interesting. I had no idea.
Just coincidence?
Yeah, I had no idea. It must have been because I was competing on the local circuit. I'd done a bunch of subversions by now, and I don't think I'd won trials yet, but there was some rumblings around that like this kid got his purple belt in like less than 2 years, really quick.
Okay.
I think I ended up getting I got my blue in 7, and then I got my purple in 19, and then I went 20 weeks to brown belt from purple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quick progressions.
Very quick. But it was like purple belt, I went undefeated, and then I also won trials in like a very short period of time. I think I competed 3 or 4 times, submitted everybody, didn't have one fight that didn't end up in the submission.
Yeah.
And then one. I did have one. It was the finals of trials in 2022.
Are you disappointed about that?
Yeah. I got him back. I got him back like 18 months later. I submitted him in 90 seconds.
What are you subbing people most with?
Originally, my whole entire game was Sampo single into a DAS.
Got it.
That was my whole game. I basically just mopped the floor with everybody at white belt and blue belt. And
bang, bang.
Well, they couldn't stop me because I just like,
too big and strong.
This is a tackle, except I can use my arms instead of my shoulders. This is great. I'll just do this.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they landed on the floor, I just pinched their head and bear hugged them and then feed the wrist.
Got it.
And then they were done every time. I think my most satisfying is probably off the back. There's nothing better than a rear naked choke.
Getting the rear nakeds in.
Yeah. I think probably my most prominent submission is the rear naked in terms of frequency, I would think now. It's probably evened out since I started.
Got it. As you're developing through this like quick period of time, are you, obviously your frequency is high, you're training every day, 6 days a week? 6 days a week, yeah? One day for rest?
Yep.
So 2 to 3 sessions a day. Do you bother watching matches? Do you watch instructionals? Do you just watch what you need? What's the situation?
Yeah, so in between every single session, it's like, all right, what did I do well? What did I not do well? What do I want to take into the next session? And this way, I think frequency is so important because you can constantly moderate so much faster than everybody else. I don't have to wait 24 hours for my next iteration. Yeah. I only have to wait 5.
Yeah.
So I can ruminate because I'm like that. I fucking hate when I don't hit something properly, or I hate when something looks sloppy, or it's imperfect, or just really frustrating. And then I go, all right, I've got 5 hours to remap that and fix that back into my next session. And then also, it's good because we do double ups of the lesson. So what we did this morning will be what we do tonight with little iterations for the more advanced guys. And so that way I can deepen my understanding of the techniques that we did with the front headlock escapes and different bits and pieces of that. And I'll try and implement that in the first positional round. Then I'll have my own plan for the second positional round and the third positional round. And then in the open training, I'm mostly working on what I have planned for the week and what I want to orchestrate that way. But it's constant iteration and recirculation of those things on such a frequent basis that it's always top of mind. And when I realized that all my clients from the online personal training thing were blue belts, I was like, fuck, I've got to start like a jiu-jitsu thing, probably. Maybe like a conditioning thing for jiu-jitsu, very similar to what you're doing. And I was like, I don't really want to keep teaching that. I actually want to teach more like the mindset application and conceptual thinking, and that's kind of like where my wheelhouse really shines.
Yep.
And came back from 22 ADCC losing to Penner in the first round, and my missus actually said to me, she goes, "Why don't you use TikTok?" I had this really weird aversion to it because I was like, it's Chinese spyware, it's bad, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't want to give them my data.
I can't wait to get into conspiracy theories later. We'll
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Sorry.
And I was like, you know what? It's kind of a stupid belief that I've upheld for no real reason. Yeah. Posted a video, and the caption was me. It was me Uchimata-ing Penner, and I said, took me less than 2 years to Uchimata a world champion. I didn't know it would rile people up at all because they're like, oh, well, you didn't even win, blah blah blah. Like, I didn't even know at that point, so I just put it out there.
You got a lot of haters.
Heaps.
People love to hate you.
Heaps.
But that's good. Polarizing.
Well, they don't hate me. They hate what I represent, which is them not fucking trying at anything in their entire life. And so I understand, because I try very hard at the things I'm good at, and the only reason I'm good at it is because I try very hard.
Yes.
There's no magic, there's no secret sauce. It's just that you gave up when it got difficult, and you wanted to go back into your mum's box room and watch Netflix.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to do that, but don't shit on somebody who's not doing that.
Yeah. You're like, I'm just going to do this two, three times a day, 6 days a week. That's it.
Yeah.
Commit your whole life to it.
I don't have time to care about you.
Yeah.
I'm fucking busy. And you obviously are the opposite of that. You've got all the time in the world to care about everybody except what you're doing, which is fucking sad. Yep. Get over it.
Too busy on the YouTube comments.
Crazy.
Yep.
But put that out and it did like 60k views in 24 hours. And I'm like, oh, there's something here for sure.
This is before you started posting on Instagram, or you're posting on Instagram
Still
at the time?
Posting on Instagram, but nowhere near as frequent as what I'm doing now. I was like,
how many followers do you have at the time?
On Instagram?
Yeah.
Probably about 3,000.
Yep, okay.
Something around there.
And this is after ADCC trials?
This is after trials, after ADCC.
Oh,
after
wow.
Penner. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't have a big jump because I was like relatively, like almost completely unknown at the time.
Yeah.
And I went out in the first round and I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty much it. Like even no media attention, no hype, no nothing.
Yes.
And it's like, unless you're an ADCC veteran, they don't really care if you're coming back or not. Or unless you've won a couple of matches, they don't really care if you're coming back or not.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, no worries. Posted on TikTok. I ended up getting like 30k followers on TikTok in like 6 weeks.
Sweet.
And I was like,
from that one post?
Not from the one post, but I saw the response from that one post, and then I was like, all right, 2-3 times a day, immediately, straight away. At one point, I was posting 5 times a day.
It's funny, like listening to you on Angus Bradley's podcast. We shout out Angus Bradley.
He's great.
He's a great guy. You don't half-ass anything. Clearly, you're just like, oh, there's something in here 3 times a day.
Yeah,
that's a big commitment.
It was immediate, and I was like, I'm going to do it at meal times. I'm going to make it so easy. Like as soon as I finish breakfast, I'm going to post. Yeah. As soon as I finish lunch, I'll post. As soon as I finish dinner, I'll post.
What's the thought process? Were you thinking of like, okay, what do I need to post, or are you thinking like, what's going to be useful? What's your thought process behind content?
I had no process back then.
You just post whatever.
I was just posting shit about training or training videos, or I was like, what caption can I put on this to make people watch it? And I did like, this is what jiu-jitsu looks like versus MMA, and it was me training with one of the MMA guys.
Okay.
And it was the Scottish guy from this morning.
Oh, that fella, yeah.
Yeah. And he like has had a couple fights and stuff, and that video went crazy. That did like 200,000 views. For at the time, I was like, unbelievable numbers. Yeah. I was like, holy shit.
And it's just a round?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was just a training round.
Yeah.
And then so I posted another one where I was like 120 kilos versus 110 kilos, or because people wanted to see the weight.
People eat that shit up
they
as well.
Love it.
They eat that shit up.
I don't know why. It's fucking crazy.
Because it's simple. It's like, well, that guy's fucking huge. Well, that guy's not as big. Or like 2 big fellas going for it. What happens?
Or maybe the little guy gets the big guy.
Yes.
I think they're waiting for the payoff. But I think it's also, it's representative of something they understand, because I don't understand jiu-jitsu, but they understand like big versus small, or maybe there's something in it for them.
MMA versus jiu-jitsu, pure.
Exactly.
People love that shit.
And it's like the story of it. It's like the street fighting stuff. Like everybody understands what's going on in a street fight, and they just want to see jiu-jitsu applied in that sort of fashion, I guess.
You hear Dana talk about that for the UFC. It's like it's in your DNA. People understand fighting. You look at 2 people. It's weird. Like even girls watch UFC because they just want to see people beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah,
everyone can get around that.
I love it. It's fucking great.
It's great.
Yeah, they ended up climbing very quickly, and I was like, I'm gonna have to do something with this, because there's no point having an audience with nothing to like give them or funnel them into or whatever. And so I ended up talking to Jake, and I was like, I'm going to film a course of like basically how I got my brown belt so quickly, and just all personal lessons and things that I've learnt from recovery and training and modulating and iterating and all those sorts of things.
Okay.
Filmed it. Started selling it first. Didn't have it filmed. Didn't have anything ready. Started like a
pre-sale.
A pre-sale.
Okay.
Yeah, I did pre-sale for $19.
How many did you put on?
And I had like 30 people sign up.
Cool.
And I was like, fuck, this is great. I was like, how fantastic is this?
How amazing that first feeling of getting actual sales. You're amazing. Like, holy shit.
Amazing. Well, I'd had a previous experience beforehand where I thought I was going to be a millionaire. I ended up selling back of the car dog blankets for your leather seats.
Okay.
So that it goes headrest to headrest. It creates a little scoop so that your dog doesn't fuck up all your leather. And it was in COVID the first time before I started.
You manufactured this thing?
Well, it was drop shipping.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I got a Chinese factory to make them and send them and ship them and do everything for me. And I was just creating the Facebook ads of the website and all that sort of stuff. And I did that, made 15 grand in my first month, and then got my ad account sniped off me because I clicked a funky email. They're like, your account's going to be disabled if you don't put in your blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh shit, that's really important.
Yeah, you
fell for it straight away, clicked it, closed my ad account. You're never allowed to advertise on this account ever again. And the thing with Facebook is, if you don't have another personal account to back that up, you can't advertise again until that account's been open for like 3 or 6 months.
So they hacked your account from that?
Hacked my ad account, closed all the accounts. I had to delete my payment information off it because otherwise they were going to swipe a bunch of that as well. And that business went...
Yeah, you've got to have that duo thing, whereas like whenever anyone tries to log in, they send you a code.
They didn't have that back then.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they didn't have it back then, so it really fucked me. And my dreams of being a dog blanket millionaire fucking crashed and burned. But I had that rush feeling, and I was like, fuck, if I can do it once, I can do it again. So I was always on the lookout and the opportunity for everything else. And I didn't put it down as luck. I put it down as something like I could replicate. And I was like, I can do this again.
Well, it's entrepreneurial spirit, right? You're like, all right, well, if I could hustle for this, I surely can hustle for something else.
For something that I have no interest in, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
Like I had no...
Dog blankets. Yeah, you don't give a fuck about dog blankets. But you care about the process of making something happen.
Exactly. And at that time, I think even to think about it like a philosophical sort of concept as well.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't ready for that to happen.
Yeah.
So the way that I chose to click that email was probably really good for me, because if I had massive monetary success at that stage of my life, I would have fucking blown all of it, and I'd be in a much worse position.
Was this when you were a little rat bag around that time?
I was less so, but I was still closer to that stage than I am now.
Got it.
For sure. I was 22, 23 at the stage, which is, I started jiu-jitsu at 23, but this was probably about 2 or 3 months before that stage. And I was kind of like, I was still half-assing a lot of shit. Like I had big ideas and big plans and all that sort of stuff, but I'd go in and I wouldn't, and then I'd go in and I wouldn't. Started 8 or 9 different businesses that just never went anywhere. That was the first one that worked.
What was the mindset shift? Because for you to say you half-assed shit, you were half-assing stuff, and then, you know, to the point you're at now, when you talk about you don't half-ass anything now. What changed?
I don't know if it's like one particular day or week or anything like that. I kind of just got pissed off.
Yeah.
I kind of just got pissed off enough where I actually made a shift from blaming outside circumstances to blaming myself. I'm like, the reason this doesn't go anywhere is because you're not consistent. And then I also mapped that onto, well, the gym was something I started when I was 14, and I never missed a day for 12 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so I've proved to myself that I can do it there.
7 days a week, you just every day?
Every day. I was doing twice a day, 3 times a day sometimes. I'd go to footy training, train the gym there, train footy training, drive on the way back home, get 2 double cheeseburgers from Macca's and a chocolate milk, and then go for another gym session.
Yeah. Oh,
I was
shit.
like
So you do footy training, then the team S&C, go home for your feed, and then do your own S&C on top of it?
No, I'd drive through, eat it in the drive-through, and then park in the gym parking lot, and then go out and train arms. Just full hell for leather. Because we had a gym at school.
Yeah.
So go to the gym at lunchtime, finish school, go home, have a feed. I'd have like Nutella and rice cakes in bulk proportions.
Yeah.
And then I'd go and ride my push bike down to the gym at the shopping centre. It was 5 minutes down the road.
What? Oh, what just beeped?
Oh, that was our cameras.
Was that?
Yeah, that was us.
What was the what was I going to say? How big were you at 14 years old?
I was like skinny fat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tall?
I was still tall. I was probably, I remember I shot up at like 16 or 15. I would have shot up like 4 inches in like 12 months.
What did you play? Centre, number 8, or second row?
So I played in league and union. I went, as I gained weight from the gym, I went centre, second row, prop.
You ended up playing prop?
Over a couple of like 3 or 4 years, over a span of a couple of years.
Got it.
Because I got bigger and slower, but I got stronger and more mongrel.
Good for the hit up. Good for the hit up.
Oh yeah, and
but not fast.
You know the thing, it was like spaces, not faces. Yeah. My whole thing was faces, not spaces. I was like, no, fuck you. I'm going to crack your sternum. There's nothing you can do about it, and I'm going to tell you about it every time you get up off the floor. Did
you ever play with Sam Burgess?
No, I was underneath him in the 20 side when he was in first grade.
Oh, so you're playing SG at that point?
I was playing under 20s, which is the level above. SG was
Harold Matt's SG
that's
under
right.
20s. Got it.
That's right. And Sam is a fucking phenomenal human.
Yeah.
Unbelievable guy. So his old man ended up passing away, sadly, but he was like the clubman of the clubman.
We're talking about Sam Burgess, by the way, for those not listening.
Huge head, like bigger than mine, which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
Unbelievable guy. And at the time...
Good hit-ups.
Sam, Luke, Tom, and George were all at South Sydney.
Yep.
So it was like a real big brotherhood there. But what sets Sam apart, I listened to a podcast with him with a couple of my mates. I ended up being roommates with Liam Knight, and I'd played with Toby in 20s.
Yep.
And he said to me, he goes, my big motivation for that was when my dad was around the footy club in England. He knew everybody's name, all their dogs, all their pets, everything, their kids, what they were doing, their schedules. He was just a good bloke to be around.
Yeah.
And Sam instilled all of those lessons from his old man. And so when we were walking through the change rooms as under 20s guys, a couple of guys wouldn't give us a time of day. They didn't really care. They were there for work. They had shit going on. Sam would sit down and have a chat with you. Hey, Josh, how you going? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
unbelievable guy.
That's a big deal as well. See the pro guy. These are the guys you look up to.
That's why he was the captain.
Yeah.
The captain of the club, because you wanted to follow him. I watched a video the other day about him spraying George in the Bulldogs grand final in 2014. And he just like made a couple of errors. He was getting back to the line late, and Sam turned around in the scrum and fucking sprayed him. He goes, "You pull your fucking head in now." Yeah. He goes, "You better shape up immediately." And George was like saying to himself, "I'm so fucked. I'm going to have one run and I'm going to come off."
Yeah.
That one run ended up scoring under the post, ran through everybody, scored a try, all the adrenaline, everything like that. His fucking brother goes, "That's how you do it. That's how you do it." I was mad.
That's pretty sick.
Mad. I get goosebumps thinking about it. Sick, that stuff.
So what do you like about jiu-jitsu then? Because that's pretty fucking, like playing a high quality rugby league is pretty special, and there's a good feeling behind it. I haven't been there, but like you can see it's a fucking great place to be a part of. What do you like about jiu-jitsu similar to, and how can you compare it to competitive sports?
It's actually the opposite. So I like the team aspect of training, but I love the self-accountability of single sport competition. I like being the one that's accountable for everything that goes on. Because whether I win or lose is up to me. It's not up to the other guy. Like, fuck the other guy.
Yeah.
But in rugby, it might be that your teammate dropped the ball, and it's hard to reconcile that in your head because you always leave knowing you could have done more based on the people around you.
Yeah.
And it's difficult it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. And it's also a difficult battle between your mind of accepting accountability for the stuff that you did and then also you kind of have to accept that they did something wrong as well. And it was like, it's a big mind battle, actually. Like, it's emotional sort of thing. Like, you want to get angry at them, but you can't because you know that you're going to be there in a play or two or next week or something like that, and you need them to pick you up.
Yeah.
So you can't go too hard at them, and then you also can't go too soft on them because then they won't show up and shape up.
It's the fine balance, yeah.
Exactly. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, it's like you do that for yourself, and you're already the person that speaks to yourself the most, so it's a less difficult battle. And it's also pure accountability where you know that every action that you do in training, off the mats, on the mats, all the way in the lead-up to competition, that's all about you. And then when you compete, it's also all about you. Not in like a solipsistic way, but also in a way where if you didn't do the training, don't expect to win.
Yeah.
And if you didn't do the training, you didn't do the S&C, you didn't do the recovery, and you lose, well, guess who's to blame? You. And if you did do all that stuff and you win, guess who's to blame? You.
Yeah.
So it's a great spot to be in.
Yeah. Interesting. What do you reckon for like the people coming up and they just go, I want to jiu-jitsu full time? What kind of advice would you say to those people who just want to go, I want to fucking start winning major tournaments and I want to give up everything to jiu-jitsu?
I reckon do it.
Which you were saying before is like, sometimes it's a crazy thing to do.
It's ballsy.
It's ballsy.
It's ballsy. But I respect it. Like, most of the people that I've ever spoken to in my life that I have admiration for their qualities or their achievements, they've done that.
Yeah.
They've seen something that they knew they wanted to do enough to accept the consequences and all the bullshit involved with it and still do it anyway. They're like, don't expect you're going to be a fucking millionaire. Don't expect it's going to be good money. But if you're willing to, like Hamzat Chimaev was willing to live in the gym because he loved training MMA so much. He literally slept in the corner of a gym with fuck all possessions, nothing, and now he's elevated himself to a different level. So unless you're willing to do that, don't expect that you're going to go anywhere. Like, I was making $300 a week, barely affording rent. Ex-missus was fucking blowing me up, being like, what the fuck's the go? And I was like, I just can't not do it. I just can't.
Just needed fucking do it.
I just need to train because it's the only thing that has made me feel this type of way, that has given me a level of like achievement, but also a level of purpose, drive, all that sort of stuff, like a certain level of fulfillment as well. And I was like, I'm just completely obsessed by this. And so unless you have those qualities and you're willing to take that on, don't do it. But if you do have those qualities, definitely do it.
You got to really want to fucking do it.
You
got to really fucking.
You got to want to do it well more than you think you do.
Yeah.
Because I think people think it's like I think it's glamorized.
You got to be decent as well.
You got to be fucking good. Yeah, you definitely got to be good.
It's the thing that, like, you see some people doing, you're like, is this really what you want to do right now?
Yeah. That's like on an individual conversation level. Like, I hear white belts saying that. They're like, I want to post about my journey. I'm like, yeah, that's fucking great. But also,
wait till you get better. Yeah.
You're going to have to fight a battle that's just not really worth fighting because no one's going to listen to you because you're not an expert and you're not really doing anything
yet
that they can't do. Albeit, caveat, if you're documenting your journey from white to blue belt and you want to show people what it's like and you're just targeting beginners or people who haven't started,
different story, yeah.
By all means go for it. If you're documenting your weight loss journey, you haven't done it yet, but you're like, come lose weight with me and you're storifying it, maybe that's an avenue that you can go down, and maybe that's something I would recommend. But don't expect to be like an authority because you're not. That doesn't work. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, unless you've actually done the thing that you're...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What is your nutrition? How on it with your nutrition are you now? Nutrition, sleep, weights. I know you only do weights once a week now.
I only do weights once a week.
You're already a big fella.
Bench. Yeah. I think if you were to build the perfect athlete, you'd make them do weights in their teenage years and really go hard and heavy at it.
Yeah.
To free them up for skill development in whatever they wanted to do afterwards.
Yeah.
And so that was my thing in jiu-jitsu. I'm like, behind these guys, they have 10, 15, 20 years of training experience, but they don't have the weightlifting experience, so they kind of got to balance each half.
That's the thing with jiu-jitsu. You get a lot of people who just like, they get hooked on it, but they don't have the competitive sports background. Mm-hmm. They haven't been doing the team sports, or they haven't been doing the forced S&C, or they don't have that much S&C. And it's like, that's a big gap. That's a big gap. You can catch that up fairly quickly, but to someone who does have that years and years of doing that as a teenager, it's a tough gap to plug.
Yeah. My best mate and I, Zach, said it's the best advantage you could ever give yourself. Like if you're 14, 15 or 16, you're just
strong,
crushing the gym, all of your tendon strength, your bone health, all of that stuff, like all the things you don't think about now that you will be benefiting from in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
It is the best investment. Also, the psychological things of doing something really fucking difficult for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Eking out those results. I got to...
Seeing progress.
I got a group of mates of mine, and they're all in like real estate and construction and development and stuff. And they kind of started hanging out with me like at the same cafe that we're at.
Yep.
And I was talking to my mate, and he goes, "You know why?" He goes, "Like, because you fight, and it's like really difficult to do. But also, your body's your resume. They don't need to know that you're about it by you saying it, because they can look at your physique and go, you're about it."
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's like what people are trying to do with the fake cauliflower ear. Like, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're about it."
I see you do that video.
That's fucking retarded. Don't do that.
The guy like hammering his ear and
with
shit.
a can.
Like, why would you do that?
Because you're an idiot.
You're an idiot.
You're an idiot. But a physique, like you don't have to be Mr. Olympia. I don't have to be jacked out of your brain. But if you look like you are capable and you look like you train, such a good resume for the rest of your life. Like, if I was hiring somebody and they came into my office or they came into my warehouse and they got like a little pot belly, they don't look like they train that much. I'm less inclined by looking at them to think that they are capable of doing difficult things for a very long time, that they can stick to something they don't necessarily love and still see benefit out of it. There's so many like untold narratives of having a good physique by training that is so important that even if you weren't to go into jiu-jitsu, it would 10x the rest of your life. Yeah. Undoubtedly.
It's crazy, like when... And I don't see a lot of it now, but like people who don't lift weights and do like jiu-jitsu, and it's like, dude, this is a sport. People, I think, like, get over the whole like martial arts aspect. It's a fucking sport. And like, who do you want to roll with? The skinny like black belt, or the fucking super jacked fucking blue belt who's like been lifting weights for like 10 years? Yeah. The blue belt, the super athletic jacked blue belt, it's gonna be a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, why would you just not try and get as strong and as jacked as possible? Yeah. And I think that's why this like phase of like all these fucking retards doing like this crazy like sport specific exercise and all that bullshit. Because it looks like, oh, that looks kind of like what it is. It's like, no, dude. No. If you're crushing weights, you got a fucking big ass squat. You got a fucking heavy ass weight on your back and you're squatting it. Heavy ass deadlift. Heavy ass bench. Like that is what is going to fucking carry over to you being a strong cunt.
100%. I still have the trap bar deadlift record at Canberra.
What was that, 300?
340.
Fuck.
I conventional deadlift 320. I'd done 300 for reps. I think it was like a set of 2 or a set of 3.
Yeah.
And for a piss take one afternoon, I train weights once a week at the gym in Hornsby, which is a part of my mate's supplement warehouse.
Yeah.
And a mate of mine, Jared, came in. He's big. He looks like Aquaman. He's been powerlifting for ages.
Big cunt.
Big guy, strong, like really good bench. He's benched plus 200, like fucking good bench.
That's heavy, mate.
Yeah, I think he's done a set of 5 at 180, which is like very good weight.
Yeah.
But his deadlift sucks because he's got short little T-Rex arms.
Got it.
And he was like, I'm going to do 250 3x3. And I was like, okay, what's that, 9 reps? I was like, all right, I'm going to do 250 for 10. Just in one set, because fuck you, that's why. And I did it. And he
straps?
No bare hands, no belt.
Double overhand?
Pink Crocs.
Pink Crocs.
And he was like, fuck you, I hate you so much. And I hadn't deadlifted in like 12 months.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
How'd you feel the next day?
Great.
Fine?
Yeah, fine. No problem.
Have you trained with Mark McQueen?
No.
I'll look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Or a match-up with Mark McQueen.
Because he used to be really strong. I mean, he probably still is.
He's a world champion powerlifter.
Yeah.
He's strong as fuck. He reps out like 170, 180 on the bench.
That's good.
And he's, I think he holds world records for squats and deadlifts and shit.
He looks like a big squatter.
He's a big cunt, mate.
Yeah.
He's a big cunt.
Yeah, nice guy. I was chatting to him in the lineup when we were doing the face-offs.
Yeah.
He ended up getting next to me.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that matchup eventually. Or you guys will train. Do you ever go to ROKA?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get over there?
Yeah.
He's going to go there full time soon.
Oh, yeah, cool.
So you guys will be training there.
Oh, that'd be great.
How'd you go with that big mobility monster, Ty?
I never trained with him.
Did you not? Really?
No, he wasn't there.
Big Dan?
Dan had staff in the lead up to 2024 ADCC.
Okay.
And this is actually really funny. I was in a team photo. At ROKA, and Big Dan wasn't. Yeah. And they were like, oh, this is really weird. Like, Josh had a match with Gordon, and it was on Reddit, so it wasn't a bullshit story. Josh had a match with Gordon, now he's training there, and Big Dan's gone. Like, maybe they replaced him with him, and blah, 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 blah. It's like this big narrative bullshit. Yeah. Dan went on his stories, and he was like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, this is bullshit. I love John. I would never leave the gym, blah, blah, blah. He goes, I got staff. There's nothing I can do about it. He goes, I've been doing gym sessions away from everybody, so I don't give it to them, and all that sort of shit. And him and the mobility monster, is his name Ty?
Ty, yeah.
Yeah, him and Ty were just bashing the shit out of each other in Dan's garage or something.
Because they're both fucking huge, mate.
Just monsters. Just fucking, like, fridges with limbs.
Literally, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know what gypsy genetics he didn't get, because gypsies are usually, like, quite small.
Because he's Romanian, isn't he? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, like, Romanian Neanderthal, probably.
Fucking big cunt, mate.
Is there, like, a North Romania where they're just, like, Scandinavian expats, or...
Well, it's the gypsies, isn't it? Actually, it is the fucking... the gypsy gene.
Well, Tyson Fury's a big dude.
He's a big cunt,
He's gypsy, isn't he?
He's a pikey, yeah.
Yeah.
He just lost to Usyk.
For the second time.
Usyk's a fucking monster, mate. If you think about that, mate. He's way shorter than him.
Way lighter.
But Usyk's actually a fucking monster. He went back to Ukraine to go fight in the war.
I heard about that. So did Lomachenko.
Yeah, I mean...
Hard men.
You're living a great life, and you're like, no. I'm fucking... Ukraine is my country.
I'm going to go fight an unwinnable war.
Imagine living in America, and you're like, living in a business doing well. Australia becomes under attack.
See you later.
You're in Australia, or you?
No, fuck you. You've done nothing to me. And no, it's actually pretty sad. Like, you think about patriotism in the 80s in Australia, and like Australiana.
I think about this all the time.
And just unbelievable cultural identity and pride in the nation, and it's just slowly withered and evaporated. And you go out to Bondi, you go out to the city, and all that sort of stuff. And
sickening. You
can't even be proud of Australia Day. You're not even allowed to celebrate the day of Australia because of some conflict and some fucking bullshit PC lefty crap.
I'm so big on this. You go to America, there's fucking American flags everywhere. But you go to Vietnam, Vietnamese flags everywhere. Yep. Australia, no flags. I was down in Bondi. I was like, where the fuck are the flags? Where's the patriotism?
You know what? You go to the Bondi, I think it's a library, it's a government building where you turn left down on Bondi Road.
Yeah.
And there's the pink, blue and white flag, whatever the fuck that thing is.
Yeah. The LGBTQ.
Then there's the Torres Strait, then there's the Indigenous, and there's not an Australian flag there.
And
there's a rainbow painted on the floor.
It's insane. Yeah.
I don't get it. It's really unfortunate because there's even like TikTok pages and stuff now, Ozpil, of like old school Australiana, like Steve Irwin ripping things out of crocodiles' mouths.
Bring
it
back, mate.
Cricket back in the 2000s, and when our Australian team used to dominate everything in rugby and swimming and everything.
Yeah, bring it back, mate.
When we had the Sydney Olympics, all that sort of stuff. All that feels like it was a very small window, maybe like 2011, 2012, gone. And you're just not allowed to be proud of your country anymore. You're not allowed to say, I'm fucking happy to be Australian.
Do you feel like it's turning around at any point, or do you feel like it's getting worse?
It's a good question because I think you speak to the average layman, and they're very similar to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's a very, very small, loud minority that seem to be taking over mainstream media and all that other bullshit. And the things that are propagated through those channels are definitely towards agendas that aren't with the common man. And I spend a lot of time in Penrith. Obviously, there's a lot of Westies and Bogans and whatever else. They love Commodores and VB and all that shit. They don't stand for that stuff.
Obviously not.
So it's very niche, but I think unfortunately it's the niche that suits whatever's going on currently on the larger scale. So it's being magnified to a certain degree where people think it's a bigger issue than it is.
Do you feel like everyone just copies America then? So like, I feel like America will kind of twist its way around back in with Trump coming back. So do you see how like it was swapping to the left? These kind of all that shit was blowing up in America.
Yeah,
and people were like, because that's mainstream media, right? America is essentially mainstream media, and people see that and they go, "Oh, we should do that in Australia. We should, LGBT."
I think in some senses we're actually forced to, by way of being like allies.
Yes.
Or essentially whatever the Commonwealth decides to do, and then we've just got a flow-on effect of that. But we do tend to follow America within trends. So I do think they're kind of like the leader, I guess, in terms of like culture and identity and all that sort of shit. And it's weird, right? I think about this all the time. It's like we know so much about their country and we know nothing about our own.
Yeah. And
it's just whatever the media or whatever we've been exposed to in terms of movies and all that sort of stuff. And don't get me wrong, Australian movies suck dick, so I wouldn't watch them either. But in saying that, like it's definitely been, I wouldn't necessarily call it propagandized, but it's definitely been focused towards what they're doing and how that's all mapping out. And I guess by proxy, we're kind of, subdued by that.
What do you think of like the upcoming Australians in Jiu-Jitsu? It seems to be the scene seems to be taking off now.
Honestly, couldn't be fucking better.
Yeah,
couldn't be in a better place. I mean, Levi has crossed over to Nogi now, so he's definitely getting up and around there. He came second at the CJR tournament. Canard couldn't have had a better debut on the international scene because he is the most unknown anomaly of anomalies.
Yeah.
Like, I've trained with him a fuckload, and I've never been close to submitting the guy.
Yeah.
Never close. And his guard is literally impossible to pass. I mean, I was a blue belt when I was training with him, so let's put that into context. Not to say that I'd submit him today, because he's very fucking good.
He's fucking good.
But he's so much better than he is. He's Jason Rao Aussie version.
Yes.
For the longest period of time, I've just been hoping that he get a shot at something. And then he goes out and submits Victor Hugo in like 2 minutes. I'm like, oh my God.
Quick, man,
quick. I was more shocked. I was more happy for him than anything, but I was more shocked at that than I was Pixley throwing Merigali.
Yeah, that was crazy as well, yeah.
Me, myself, Luke, and Jeremy, we were up near the tunnel of the big platform, watching that match transpire, because he went on after I had my match with Damon Ramos.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting there watching that match, and then we hear the crowd go ballistic. And it was like Merigali's feet in the air, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? That was the first Uchimata.
Yeah.
And so then he gets back down and sort of plays his guard and whatever else, and then he comes back up again, and then Pixley just goes, I'm going to full send this. And then he locks the DAS, and I didn't realise that his shoulder had come out. Fuck, he's not defending that. Fuck, he's going to tap. Holy shit, he's tapping. Oh my God. He actually tapped the mat first.
Yeah.
But then Pixley just reefs it in, and then he ends up touching his arm, so he lets go. And I've never heard a crowd that fucking ballistic before.
That was a big upset, mate.
Insane.
Big upset.
Insane. And then I think Canard, Victor Hugo is like a millimetre under that. Or millimetre over that.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, holy shit.
That was also huge. Because I remember...
Not accept that.
Hugo was looking to win that. I remember sitting backstage with... I can't remember who, but it was... Owen Ligsy was in there, which I heard earlier. Savage. And suddenly you just hear the crowd go fucking crazy. And it was like... Canard just submitted fucking Victor Hugo in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it was unreal.
What the fuck?
And couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
He's such a legend.
Canard is the best. And like for him to get the big bonus and all that sort of stuff, just had a baby girl, like being able to support her and train full time. And like what he's done with Sydney Wrestling Academy is fucking phenomenal too.
Yeah, it's a great gym.
He was teaching classes at Joey's, like a private school.
Oh, Joey's?
Yeah.
Was he?
To kids.
Really?
Yeah, he was teaching like self-defense jiu-jitsu stuff.
Yeah.
And doing privates and other stuff. And he was like, I'm kind of fucking over this at the moment. And we would always make like Catholic school jokes to him and all that sort of shit. So I think that probably piled on a little bit as well.
Yeah, good rugby team at Joey's.
Great. Phenomenal.
The best in New South Wales probably.
Yeah, phenomenal. Them, Kings and like all the other GC schools. Yeah. Or GPS schools, I think they're called.
Yeah.
And we ended up beating them like 84-4 in one of these like rugby tournaments. Like we had all the FOBs, all the Samoans. One of the GPS schools. I forget which one of them were.
You played for CAS?
Yeah, we had CIS competition because we were like in the Sports Schools Association, so like public pleb schools.
Did you play you were living in Sydney?
Hill Sports.
You went to Hill Sports? Yeah. So
we had like Willie Skelton, Steve Cummings, all these like big rugby guys.
I played against you guys in a sevens tournament. It just
that would have been awful.
Fucked.
How old are you?
32.
Yeah, that would have been
Willie
like
Skelton
Steve and Willie. Oh,
that was.
What do you do to that guy? Imagine if that guy figures out what grappling is.
Yeah,
I hope he never figures it out.
Bro, when Hill Sports High was playing, their forward pack was bigger, heavier than
you know about that too.
Yeah, it was heavier than the Australian international forward pack.
Yeah, they outweighed the Waratahs by like 200, 300 kilos.
That's insane.
And that's like not a small margin.
These are professionals, and these were under 18 schoolboys.
I tell this story all the time. Willie Skelton walked into my English class one day, grabbed the top of the door frame and ducked his head underneath. And I'm in like year 7. It's like my first week at the school. Yeah, Willie Skelton's like 6'7", 6'8". 6'8", 158 kilos. Yeah, big boy. In year 11. And I'm like, oh my God, is that a human? And he ended up being really good mates with myself and my mate Zach. And he was like the rugby coach and the mentor who took over most of the coaching stuff when he was trying to get us across to play union. And he's like, boys, extra days off school, want to play union? I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to play, because I went to the school for rugby league. Yeah. And then my AFL coach, who was my PE teacher, said the same thing. He goes, want to play AFL? Want another day off school? So like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was out playing. It was great. I rocked up to school Monday, Friday, and then that was it. Just for a bit of context for you listeners, the Hill Sports High is like probably one of the best schools in Australia for sport. Oh yeah. Yeah, we've got a lot of prominent talent, like all the way through the NRL, all the way through the New South Wales rugby union competitions, and all the other sports as well. I think we've got like soccer players from male and female divisions that are doing quite well. I haven't kept up with it recently. It was actually cool. They posted about my semi-final. Oh, sick. Yeah, they kept following with me because one of my favourite teacher, Andrew Tetley. He was my PE teacher. And we got him to drive us in the old rickety school bus for the Year 12 formal. Instead of renting like a Lambo or a fucking limo or something like that.
You got the shitty tour bus.
We got the shitty rugby school bus with the cut-up leather. And it was like 15 years old and there was like 12 of us in there. And he ended up driving us. And just a legend of a guy. I still speak to him very infrequently now. But I think he was the one who followed across. If he still works, I'm not even super sure. But it was cool to see that.
That's sick.
Even from a sport that they don't have any interest in or they don't supply any interest in.
Yeah, but I mean, you're performing at the highest level of your sport, so they're like, yeah, fuck yeah. Respect to that.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you follow the NRL at all now?
Haven't watched a game in yonks.
Me neither. I heard Penrith has been Premier...
4 in a row, I think.
4 in a row.
Yeah.
That's fucking impressive.
I mean, you build the biggest feeder system in the country. Like, the Penrith competition is the largest competition in all of Australia. So, like, all the talent pool they have to select from is like very, very high competitive all the way up from 14s, 15s, 16s, all the way through. And all those boys play together all the way through as well. So they got camaraderie, they got teammateship, they got skills, they've got everything they need just to select the best of the best of the best. And they've got homegrown individuals who never moved on to other places and they've got pride in their city and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a good mix of a few characteristics that they've got.
Do you reckon a lot of the Islanders will eventually come to Jiu-Jitsu when they start seeing that you could potentially make some money in Jiu-Jitsu?
Nah.
Yeah.
They're not smart enough.
They love footy.
they're just not. Jiu-Jitsu is such a cerebral game, and they stay away from it.
Yeah.
And it's just one of their things. They love using their body as a weapon, but as soon as it's like, when was the last time you saw like a really prominent Islander within rugby league or rugby union who's like a fly half or a halfback? Or it's very rare. I'm not saying it can't happen, but
of course.
It's just rare. Like, they're big powerhouse individuals.
Because they're freaks, man.
And
Izzy Folau's.
Man, we had, I was talking to a mate about this just before. I didn't realise that he actually knew all my high school mates. There was a guy coming up at Hill Sports. His name was Jacob Loco.
Yep.
And he was the freakiest freak. Like, shredded, 110 kilos, 6'4", year 11, year 12. Yeah, Polynesian.
Yeah.
And we started a race. We were on the 0 meter line. We were on the 20 meter line. He was on the 0.
He smoked you.
He beat us to 40 in year 8. Like 14-year-old kids, he beat us to 40. That's how fast this guy was.
Bro, the acceleration, he beat you to 40. So he had
14-year-old kids. And like,
mental.
It was just unreal. And then he ended up having some troubles with contracts and other bits and pieces. He ended up falling off the cliff. He was the biggest what if ever. They were like Jared Hayne 2, Jared Hayne 2, Jared Hayne 2. And I think they put too high raps on him and he just crumbled to the pressure. But that guy was a freak of a freak. He still ended up playing a handful of games for Para and the Dogs, I think. But never transpired to do anything.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's like that all the time though. It's like the talented guys, very rarely do you see them put in the hard work and the effort to support their talent.
Because they have to work as hard for them.
Exactly. Very usually, it's very commonly, I should say, it's the guys that are kind of not really there, like your Steph Currys, Tom Brady's, those sorts of guys.
Yeah. And
they've got to really dig in and work hard. That just ends up taking them a lot further than everybody else.
What kind of tips do you give to like jiu-jitsu hobbyists or people who just want to get like they're like fairly mediocre at jiu-jitsu and they just want to get slightly better, just so they can have like more fun rounds and actually like improve their technique? Let's say like someone who doesn't really like learning the techniques or watching too much videos and stuff. What would you say to them?
Yeah, if they're not too deep into the study.
Yeah, but they do want to get better.
Best tip, number one tip, take your rounds at 60%. Dial the intensity all the way back down. Don't try and win a death match. Don't try and use death grips. Don't try and use speed, strength, agility, all the things that you're probably really good at. Because eventually the time for expiration will come where those are no longer viable against the training partners you've been training for 3, 4, 5 years. They're going to learn your speed. They're going to learn your technique. You're only going to gravitate towards things that you're good at. And if you only do that, they're going to get found out very quickly.
Yeah.
So take everything right back, peel back the intensity, and actually try and use your brain a little bit. Try and go, oh, well, every time I get put here, this ends up happening. So what would I actually do if I did get put there again? And just try and problem solve a little bit more. And the best way to do that is not by sprinting through things. It's by toning it back all the way down to about 60%-ish. You get less tired.
Yep.
You get way less sore. You get much more problem-solving ability to be able to slow everything down and see things that are coming through when they're coming through. And you also have much more enjoyment because it's more tactical than it is just strength, just speed, just agility.
Yeah.
So much better.
Also, I guess with that component as well, you're less tired, less sore. You can up the frequency.
Exactly.
More frequency.
Yeah.
Again, you don't have as much time to transpire between sessions.
That's right. Maybe even if your schedule only permits 3 days a week, you're still going to feel better and more accomplished after those 3 days a week, having not walking out of them in a wheelchair or crutches or like
being exhausted.
That's hyperbole, but you don't have to sit over the steering wheel and look at the 1,000-yard stare because you're so fucking exhausted you don't even want to drive home.
Yeah.
And like your ability to want to go to training will be enhanced by that because your recovery debt's not as big. So you'll actually change your mental as well. You'll like your psychology side of things because you'll be excited to go to training.
Yeah.
And when you're excited to go to training, you want to learn more. And when you want to learn more, you'll get better. And then that is a very virtuous upward spiral.
And you naturally start thinking about it more because you're enjoying it more. And it's like, oh, what if I did that well?
Exactly. Then you'll find yourself paying more attention. You pay more attention, you get better.
Do you ask a lot of questions after training?
Less so now.
Start with?
It'll only be things that I'm like brand new working on, and I'll take it away and I'll iterate upon it. Like this morning, I asked, "What do I do in a shoulder crunch where they dip their head, stop me from triangling them?" And then Luke was like, "Go back to the back, start to face their feet and take the arm." I'm like, oh, "Okay, that makes sense." And if they do this, they do this, they do this. Like I've got a good knowledge breadth and depth now to be able to then take that information, plug it into the chain where I didn't have that, where the gap was, and then just go. Bup, 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 bup.
Throughout the process of you getting better and better. Like, let's say when you started training here 2 to 3 times a day with Luke, were you asking lots of questions after your rounds or after training?
Yeah. I think you have to. And I've talked about this with Danny on his show as well.
Yep.
It's like your knowledge gap will be the reason you don't go to XYZ or you don't have confidence or competence in XYZ position, so you just avoid it. So instead of avoiding it, figure out what you don't know. Say like you blank when you go to North-South because you just don't go there in your rounds. Okay, just YouTube or Instagram or something like that, look up what to do in North-South in Jiu Jitsu. And then when you go there, you won't be so averse, like you won't want to stay away from that as much as you have been, and then you open up a new window of opportunity. Maybe you're a North-South choke specialist and you just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
You haven't figured it out just yet.
You just haven't figured out how to secure the position yet so that you can attack. Or maybe you're unbelievable at triangles, but you just refuse to go on your back because you're scared of it.
Yes.
How do you know?
Just, you need to do it.
And that's my thing. I'm like, I had no idea what I was going to be good at. Obviously, strength-based things, but I had no idea I was going to be like half decent at playing off my back and then inverting underneath people and starting to off-balance people that way until I actually did it. Yeah. And now I really like that in my training. Like, I actually quite enjoy that aspect of training. Yeah,
because you forced it. You're like, I need to play off my back.
Well, it wasn't even me, actually. Truth be told, it was Luke when I first got here. When I was a blue belt with a dast and a knee cut. And he was like, you're going to play off your back for 6 months and I don't give a fuck if you don't like it.
Yeah.
He's like, because you will not be a guy that cannot play on bottom as a big guy because those guys suck. And
they suck.
You won't win anything. And you saw it with even people who are arguably very successful winning a bunch of world titles. They just have no guard game. They just never spend any time on their back. And you're like, well, that's a fucking problem. Because what if you get put there? What if there's a superior wrestler? There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Imagine shitting yourself like that, having spent no time in there in training, and then not being. And then you look at guys like Gordon who can do everything everywhere.
Yeah, and Philippe Penner gets the bear trap, loves it, masters the bear trap,
loves sitting on his back and just doing whatever, playing from there. He's fucking hard to pass.
Yeah,
and he's like, all right, come in.
Yeah,
what are you going to do about it? Yeah. And as a big guy, it's tough to deal with
because so many big guys don't play off their back, right? They just refuse.
There's almost none. I mean, there's Gordon, there's Victor Hugo, there's Philippe. And that's about it. Like Mason Fowler's a pretty big guy. He's not like a heavyweight. He plays off his back quite well.
1.5, 110?
I'd say he's around 1.5. It's like he's fucking 80 kilos of legs.
Yeah.
He's like 30 kilos.
But he ain't 120, 130 plus. No. Yeah, so they're the big guys.
Yeah,
really.
They're the big guys.
They're the big units.
Yeah, they're the solid individuals. Like your Heikki Juicelers, the boat. Yeah. He's a boat. That guy just doesn't move.
Who?
Heikki Juiceler.
Never heard of him.
Finnish guy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, big blonde fella.
He's huge, isn't he?
He's massive, but he's like a boat. Like there's no ability to turn him. Like he's just a straight line vehicle.
There's no ability. It's like those cruise ships. They say like, what if it's heading towards something, it takes fucking ages to actually turn.
It takes 5 minutes.
It's gonna crash. They know they're gonna crash like 5 minutes before. Like, we're fucked.
That's him.
He's the boat.
Yeah. Even when you see him walk around backstage, he's fucking like.
He just can't.
Funny ass.
Get over there, man. This is fucking.
Yeah, they're calling him. They're like, bro, we called you 5 minutes ago. Is this a language barrier or is it just you just can't move?
That's fucking funny.
He's a big unit. He's actually quite a friendly guy too. I just don't think he speaks much English.
Yeah. When's the next comp? What do you got coming up this year?
I don't even know. I'm going to do Euros this year.
Okay.
And then I want to do Worlds as well.
Great. IBJJF, why is that?
Well, I've never done it before, and they would be good titles on the mantle.
Are you black belt yet?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'd be competing in the open, essentially the open class, basically.
Yeah.
I'd be doing the absolute divisions of both of them, which would be really good. And it's just another. It's a non-ADCC year, obviously, so that's not on the cards until 2026.
Yeah.
There's opportunity there. I'd love to have those titles just to say that I've got them.
Yeah.
And test myself against people that don't really do any other tournaments.
Yeah.
They're kind of just like there's IBJJF guys like what's his face, that Devontae Johnson guy. You never see him in anything else.
Yeah. Just have a crack at all of them.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
It's competition, man.
That's it.
Just do it.
That's my mindset. And I put it off for ages because I was like, you know what, they suck and they won't even recognise my belts even if I do go and do them and whatever else. And
you still beat people. You're still beating top guys and you get competition experience, right?
100%. 100%. And, like, people are giving them shit about the whole money thing. Like, you pay fucking out of your ass to go compete there and whatever else. And they're like, they don't pay us anything. And I'm like, yeah, do you want a world title or not? Like, it still means something.
This is my next question onto, like, making money from BJJ.
But firstly,
would you do CJI if they called you out?
Probably not.
No.
Nah.
You take beefing?
We're not good friends.
You're beefing.
We're not good mates.
I saw he put
up a clip of you saying something to Mo, and then he did a whole thing about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big meme thing. Yeah. It's been a little bit of back and forth. Like, when he first met me, he wasn't my biggest fan.
Okay.
And for whatever reason. I don't know. And then there was a thing that happened with John and Gordon, and I kind of got kicked out of their gym.
B-team?
Yeah, no. Out of ROKA. I had this fucked up skin shit that I had for ages. It was like we were talking about it with your glutarded.
Gluten.
So I'm not glutarded. I am sweetener-tarded.
Right.
So I was having like
fructose and shit.
Yeah, sugar-free Gatorades and stuff like that. And I was having like sugar-free Cokes and everything that, and it just would murder my skin. And I thought it
like eczema.
I knew it wasn't. It was like a folliculitis, and then I'd have these big welts, and then they'd pop, and then they wouldn't create a crater like a staph thing, but it's just like purple.
Yeah.
It was real weird. It wasn't like the white mucousy shit or the yellowy stuff. It was purple. It was really fucked up. Went to heaps of doctors. Went to a dermatologist. Went to everybody I could find. They could not tell me what it was.
Okay.
Went to a naturopath, and they said, "What does your diet look like?" And I was having way too much yeast in terms of like bread, and I had donuts and cakes and shit and stuff like that. And I would have all of the like the sugar-free Cokes for caffeine and stuff like that. And the shit tastes delicious. It's fucking good.
Yeah, it's great, yeah.
And that was the main determinant of like, because your gut is basically your skin. It's the same organ essentially, but it's just externalized. So whatever's going on in here is going on out here. And for the longest period of time, I just couldn't figure it out. So what I was doing was thinking about soaps and cleaners and the HIPAA stuff, and all I was doing was destroying the good bacteria on my skin, fucking that up further, but not addressing the main problem. And then I thought for sure...
It's usually the way, isn't it? We look externally before we actually look what's going on.
Exactly. So then I finally started to figure it out, and I was like, oh, this is great. I can actually start to clear this out. But before that happened, I was training the whole time. I didn't try and like cover up at all. I was wearing spats when I was training, but even when I wasn't training, like I'd shower, I'd come out in shorts. I wasn't trying to wear tracksuit pants in fucking Texas heat.
No, it's fucking way too hot.
And
like, what the fuck's that?
Yeah, and John, for whatever reason, just didn't look at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine. I wasn't trying to hide anything. We got to the airport in Vegas, and he looks down at my legs. He goes, "What the fuck is that?" Because you can't be training with us with that. Like, it fucking looks like you got staph all over you.
Yeah.
I showed him a doctor's note, everything. Didn't want a bar of it, and wanted it.
He was like, no, fuck off.
He was like, "Nah, see you later. Like,
really?
You guys are gone." And he's real finicky like that. And look, at the same time, I kind of get it, because it's like potentially putting the health of the team at jeopardy by being somebody with infectious whatever. And like, if I looked at it that way, I wouldn't have dealt with it the same way, but I would have been like, all right, show me a doctor's note, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, ended up getting kicked out of that training session. We didn't get to go. We missed out on training at the PI, and like, Luke still gives me shit about it all the time. He's like, you missed out on training with GSP, and it was all because of you. And fucking, I was like, yeah, I get it. We make mistakes, we do shit, whatever.
Yeah.
But then ended up speaking to him after the competition, and then sorted everything out. And I was like, look, this happened. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Look, let's just fucking get over it. And then eventually was like, no problem. You can come back and train. Just make sure that you
just don't have fucked up skin.
You're fine. Yeah, exactly like that. And it was like, what ended up happening was at the airport, I said that it had been like pretty bad for a month. And then Luke had said he'd had it for like a year. So then there was like these competing narratives of timelines that just made everything super confusing.
Yeah, a bit complicated.
complicated. And then he goes, well, you said it was this, and you said it was this, and like, I don't know who to trust, and blah, 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 blah.
Bit did they say.
And then he ended up coming here for a seminar, and then saw that I still had like scars and other bits and shit, like 15 months later. And he was like, oh, okay, he wasn't lying. Like, he did have it for a long period of time.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't just a quick thing.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said, he was like, oh, how do I know your whole training room is not full of it? And he's like, I wouldn't let that happen. Like, I'm not fucking trying to create a petri dish.
Yeah.
And I'd never given it to anybody because it wasn't infectious.
Because it's coming from you.
It was an internal thing.
When you cut them out, did it go away straight away?
Almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
Like, probably about 6 weeks for 80% of it to just like this. And I had it for a year and a half. Like, I did all the antibiotics. I did 6 different courses of antibiotics because they were
That's fucking mental. And
you
like,
just change the brand. And I'm like, oh. And then I did flucloxacillin, which is the heaviest dose you can have. It's 2 grams a day, 4 tablets a day.
2,000 milligrams. That's brutal.
Yeah, 2,000 milligrams a day.
The average is like 400 milligrams.
And you can only take it 14 days straight because otherwise it just strips you clean. And I did 2 cycles of that within a 6-month period. And so I was actually exacerbating the issue, making it worse.
Yeah, obviously, because your gut's
thinking and hoping it was going to get better.
Yeah.
And then it just never got better.
It's interesting with like nutrition and gut health. I used to get really bad eczema, and I thought it was just hard tap water in the UK. And I was like, the tap water is awful there. So I was like moisturizing, all that kind of shit, and it helped.
Yeah.
And then I recently, in the last like 2 years, I added in like lacto-free Greek yogurt, flaxseed, like berries. But my skin is fucking perfect. It's never been better.
Yeah,
just looking after gut health.
It's just a histamine response.
Yeah.
Same as asthma. Asthmatics always go, yeah, every time I have dairy, I get a flare-up. And I'm like, is that not a fucking cause and relation?
Yeah. It's just
like... Think about it.
For anyone who's got like food issues, you need to look into FODMAP. Because have you heard of FODMAP?
Yeah.
It's just like the 5 fermentable types of sugars that are in foods. I've talked about this before on the podcast. It's like going to be in fruits, vegetables, or any kind of like sweeteners or sugars. You eat something...
Polysaccharides, disaccharides, oligosaccharides.
Something like that, yeah. 5 types of sugars that ferment in your gut and they'll cause like, skin conditions, like farting, gas, or like bloating, all that kind of shit. Yeah. You cut them out, it will almost just...
Even checking your stool.
Yeah, look at your shit.
Yeah.
But like, if you take good shits, you're good.
You're fine.
You're fine. Just like the goal... It's funny, like with nutrition, like I always try and hit protein. Now it's like protein, fiber for me. Protein, fiber. Fiber's like even more on the pedestal for protein. Because like we played sport our whole life, so it's like you got to hit your protein anyway.
Yeah.
But fiber, you fucking got to charge for that.
Yeah.
If you take good shits, you'll be happy. You'll be happy.
One of the guys that was coming up in Australia in the online fitness community with Angus at the time, his name was Mackenzie Baker.
Yeah.
And he was like protein plants. He goes, that's your top 2 targets. He goes, like,
protein plants.
Yeah, protein plants. He goes, that's it. If you just bulk proportion 80% of your diet, just protein plants, don't care what plants they are, just fucking eat them.
Eat them.
Like dark leafy greens are great because they've got the fibers and everything else, but he goes, if you just focus on that. So for like 2 years, I was just eating like steak and fruit and veggies.
You'll be good.
Sort of shit.
You'll be sweet.
I was fine.
Yeah.
I was fine.
Good shits, feel good.
Yeah.
Feel great.
It was great. And then I started adding in like cereals and other bits and pieces. Then it was sugar-free Cokes. Then skin went...
Yeah. Well, you need to go through that to fucking figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all experience.
Exactly. Interesting about the jiu-jitsu thing we were talking about, competing for world money and that. I heard you say on another podcast how it's like you've got a successful business now, utilizing BJJ as an online business. What's really interesting with some of these competitors, some of these guys have 60,000 followers, 80,000 followers plus, and they're not capitalizing on their following.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, it's like the Arnie thing, right? Arnie was a millionaire before he was as he was doing bodybuilding and before he went to film. So he's got freedom of choice.
Yeah.
He's not going to I don't want to do that film. Fuck you.
There are some potential spoiler alerts about that.
Okay.
That I won't go into.
Conspiracy spoiler.
Some potential. There's a reason he got a seat in the House in government. We'll say that.
Okay.
We'll say that. But yeah, that's the exact same thing, right? And like, why wouldn't you want to take responsibility for that, figure out a way to do it, free up all of your time so that you can focus on the sport and you're bettering yourself in competition, also freeing up your time to be able to go to the weights, do the weights, sleep if you need to sleep, eat if you need to eat high quality food that you now have access to because of the monetary gains.
Live where you need to live, closer to training. If training's in the good area, you need to afford to fucking live that. Make it close for you. Don't be traveling, across the whole town to get to training all the time.
Or traveling.
Yeah.
best competitions in the world are typically in America.
Yeah.
If you can't afford to get there, what are you doing?
Yeah. Imagine if you're a competitor and you could go, okay, cool. Like, you can negotiate with the competition that you'll put in half and half to business or whatever. And you can sleep, you can fly comfortably.
That's right.
Like, and you can do that if you fucking work hard enough.
That's right.
It's
a no-brainer, really. And I think for a long period of time, like, because the natural attractants to the sport are kind of introverted guys that are like more numbers and digits rather than like flamboyance and flash and less extroverted.
Yes.
I think it's more of a relationship to that where they're like, if I can just train, I don't care how many privates I have to teach, like I'm pretty happy with that.
Yes.
But then also on the same side of that coin, don't fucking whinge about your lack of effort then.
Yeah.
Like, really. Don't get me wrong. I've gone on this and saying like what the CGI did and like pay $1 million, fucking great. I was never going to say no.
Yeah, of course, that's amazing. Yeah,
it's fucking fantastic.
Increase athlete pay, but also
increase athlete pay 110%.
Yeah,
but also like,
yeah.
what are you bringing to the table for yourself? Not just waiting on a sport, not just waiting on a promotion, or not just waiting around for a thing that might not come.
Yeah.
What happens if that sort of organization doesn't come with the IEGAs are paying $1 million and what if that never comes?
Exactly. Don't try and like be like a trade union and be like, we're going on strike, we need more money. It's like, dude, take responsibility for yourself. Try and make more money doing, like, you know, I guess as a jiu-jitsu athlete, you could go, you know, I'm going to sell instructionals. I'm going to try and like get my own paywall. I'm going to make useful content. Like, what do jiu-jitsu people need?
Shout out to fucking Chris Wojcik. He's a ghostwriter for jiu-jitsu pages.
Is he?
He's a writer full-time, loves writing. That's why he's got the Grappler's Diary. That's why he's got all these sorts of things.
Oh, cool.
He doesn't even sell a fucking online product. I think he's got like maybe like a book or something, like an ebook or something like that. I've like very briefly looked into him. He's a fucking lovely guy.
Yeah.
And he like writes.
He's making dosh off that?
That's what he's doing.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got Miha from Legion underneath Keenan.
Yeah.
He's got a book. He's like the no-gi fundamentals, the no-gi basic fundamentals. Dude. Just put in the effort, put the time aside. He decided that he wanted to make some money off the sport. He does content as well. I think he's got like 30,000 followers. That can never be a bad thing.
No, more eyeballs on you.
It can never be a fucking bad thing. And if you're not like monetizing the audience, why? What, like, it's just laziness.
What's it there for? What are you going to do? Post photos of you and your girlfriend all the time? No one gives a shit about that.
Oh, I'm at the beach today. I'm at training today. Like, no one gives a fuck.
No one gives a fuck.
No one cares.
No one gives a fuck.
But also as well, like, would you not want to impart your knowledge? You guys were talking about this beforehand, and it's the ability of choice in an online capacity rather than a person-to-person capacity.
Yeah.
Who knows? Your best clients might live in Germany and you live in Australia. Yeah. Who knows? They might be fucking lifelong friends that you could have never met.
Yeah.
And until you actually have an offering for them to be able to go into, you're never going to find out. It's just like we're talking about with triangles and not knowing you're good at triangles until you actually go there and figure it out.
Exactly. You don't know who you're going to meet by putting yourself out. This is what Angus talks about, Angus Bradley. You need to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Like, I've got clients who live in South Africa and they found me from jiu-jitsu and they're like, let's do a private on the phone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, for jiu-jitsu, that may not work, but if they like you enough and these people have enough money, they might just fucking fly you over.
Yeah. One of my first ever course enrollers, the first time I ever met him, was Uchi Matt from your gym.
What's his name?
Matt Johnson.
Matt Johnson.
The big guy, the big blue belt.
From Rogers or?
No, he's from...
the Mountain. Yeah.
Uchi, he changed his name recently to Uchi Matthew or something like that.
Matt the Mountain,
He's one of my first customers.
Really?
He's been with me since the very start.
That's sick.
He's bought all my fucking rash guards. He supported me. He was an online coaching client first.
Yep.
I mean, he was one of my first course enrollments. He's one of the original 5.
That's sick. And he lives 10,000 miles away.
I've never met him, but I've spoken to him on the phone for like 7 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a fucking legend.
Yeah.
I don't know he watches the show, so I'll give him a shout out. But fucking awesome bloke. And I never would have met that guy. And now when I go to the UK, I know exactly where I'm going to. Or even Hardy, one of my other students, lives in Singapore. Trials were in Singapore last year.
Yeah.
Or the year before last. Year before last in November. And I sent him a message. I was like, hey, what are you doing? He goes, you in Singapore for trials? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I'm coming to watch. Do you want to go to this local food market? It's the best in town.
Yeah.
So I went and had lunch with him and my missus and all that sort of stuff. And I got to eat food I never would have fucking eaten.
That's sick.
Unreal.
You had a great experience.
Unreal experience. And it was all because I put myself out there in the sphere of being ridiculed and all that sort of shit, which is going to happen no matter what you do. Mm-hmm. I said this to my missus beforehand. She's like, oh, we have to go to this because otherwise they'll talk shit to us. And I'm like, they're always going to talk shit about you whether you do or don't go. So I'm not going because I don't want to.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the whole thing. And so whether you do put an offer out or you don't put an offer out, someone's going to fucking talk shit about you.
Don't worry about that.
So you may as well put an offer out, because then you'll be winning instead of, because you can do two things. You can inact or you can act.
Yeah.
That's it. There's inaction or there's action. And one gets you closer to where you want to go and one doesn't.
Absolutely.
And that's it. That's as simple as it fucking gets. And it could be an ebook on how you went through your jiu-jitsu journey, or it could be a training system that you've developed, or it can be an instructional, or it can be writing like Chris Wojcik, or it could be a podcast that you can monetize on YouTube or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can be anything.
You gotta put yourself out there.
It can be fucking anything. And I really just think it's either arrogance or laziness. It's arrogance of the tournament should pay more, and it's laziness that I don't want to put out something myself.
Yeah. And it could change your life. It could, mate, like,
For sure.
Like we spoke about before, a comment like where you live, how you eat, but having autonomy over your own life. I was talking to a guy called Seb. So he came second in the world. You know the guy who flipped off Pavel?
I know him. Yeah, I know Seb.
Great fella. And he's like, I could see it in his eyes. I was chatting to him after training, and he's just like, I want to fucking do this. I want to do 3-4 reels a day, and I want to fucking change my life. I'm doing a job I fucking hate, and I don't want to do that anymore.
Man.
I'm gonna fucking charge it. I'm like, dude, fucking go for it. Go for it, bro.
And the beauty of this is that you're already doing it, and I'm already doing it, and people in the sphere that are doing it will never tell you not to do it.
No way.
People ahead of you will never fucking shit on you.
No way.
Ever. It's only those little faggots that are behind you that are like, oh, you fucking suck, you shouldn't do that, your videos aren't funny, whatever.
You're like, keep watching, then. Yeah, keep
You're still
watching.
paying attention.
Yeah.
You might never pay me, but your fucking friends will.
Exactly.
So get over it. But like, that's the thing, like, people have aversion to it. That people are listening who want to start producing something and offering something. They will always think, oh yeah, but people will talk shit or whatever. It's like, nah, the dudes that are doing it will never shit on you for doing it. They will always be willing to lend a helping hand. They'll tell you what their lighting setup is, how they organize this, what they're doing this way. And one of the biggest influences for me is James Smith recently. Like, I ended up doing his mentorship and enrolled in that and all that sort of stuff. And he's just like, yeah, bro, here's what I did. Here's all of it.
Yeah.
Here's everything.
And he's fucking killed it.
Oh yeah.
He's killed it.
But you know what the best part about his story is? One of my favorite stories about him the entire time is that he was living a dead-end job, fucking hated what he was doing in the UK, packed up all his shit, went to Australia, went to live the dream, was posting 3 times a day. The first time he posted 3 times a day, he lost 3 Facebook followers, and he was fucking devastated because he was like, oh my God, this should be the thing. Then he was doing email marketing for 10 months before someone bought.
Dude,
10 months of emails.
Commitment.
10 months of emails, and you've got to be committed to it.
Seeing no reward.
Regardless of the reward. And this is what I try and tell all my students. It's like, jiu-jitsu is a long slog, and if you are only hyper-fixated on the results that you're getting from the training that you're doing, you'll never last. Because there's going to be so many up and downs that it's an emotional roller coaster you'll never get through. If you're committed to it no matter what happens, then the world will open up for you. And producing content on Instagram and social media is all the exact same thing. It's identical. It's creating and iterating offers is the exact same thing. Like, your first product is going to be shit. I fucking guarantee it.
Yeah.
The first version of my program was dog shit. It would never pay me for that.
Yeah. And then you look back on it, you're like, but
It should be.
Correct.
Because you're going to try and get better and better and better.
If you don't do that, you're doing something wrong.
Yes.
If you're not iterating, people can scroll down all the way to the bottom of my Instagram and you can see the shit I was posting 2018 when I first started my account. You're like, no wonder you had no followers. Of course you fucking would.
Because of the shit. But that's the journey.
But that's the best part about it, because I get to look back on that now and go, my videos are like decently polished. And even then, I post some of them are like, this could have been done better. This could have been done better.
Yeah.
Even when I'm editing and I'm like, I've picked up certain cues that I do when I speak, and I'll start sentences with so, or I'll start sentences with all right. And I'll always loop back. I didn't even realize I do this. I will be like, so this is how you escape the back in 3 ways. And then at the end of the video, I'll go, so this is how you escape the back in 3 ways. And I'm like, you fucking moron. Don't mirror it on the back of it, because you're just going to cut it out anyway. And it's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, but you watch it, you figure it out. If you do it 100 times, you're like, and then maybe the 100th time you go, that's enough.
Exactly. But now I'm finding so much enjoyment with it in conjunction with training that I don't really see it as a separate entity from jiu-jitsu. And James Smith said this to me, actually. It was at a competition. One of the first times I ever met him, and he was just doing the Newtonic thing. And he goes, I've seen your YouTube videos, they're really good. He goes, what you've done in getting to brown belt is 10 times harder than getting a silver play button. You could do that in a year.
Sick.
And I was like, fuck. Okay.
And that carries a lot of weight That carries
someone who's done it.
That carries a lot of weight behind it.
100%. And this is what I'm talking about. People above you will never shit on you.
Yes.
They're always, and he's phenomenal at this. He goes, you should be doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this. And when you get in a room with him, he's just like bouncing off the walls. All the ideas are coming.
Yes.
You can see why he's been so successful in his own right. And he's a guy that didn't even do anything related to jiu-jitsu until much later on.
Yeah.
So even for these guys that are thinking so narrow focused, just because you do jiu-jitsu full time doesn't mean you have to sell something about jiu-jitsu. Doesn't mean you have to produce content about it.
Yeah.
You really don't have to. You could produce a faceless content. There's so many of these pages and all these dorks are posting about it now on Instagram. They're like faceless Instagrams where they just post like fight clips from the UFC.
People do it though. Yeah.
And then I
love watching those clips, to be fair.
And then they plug in a t-shirt underneath in the bio.
Yeah.
Inevitably someone's going to click on your bio. Inevitably someone's going to click on the link. And if they like the shirt, they'll buy it.
Like the Gary Vee thing
You said on Angus's podcast.
it's like if you got 1 billion followers, like
someone's going to buy
someone's going to fucking buy it.
Not if you don't fucking have an offer.
Yep.
If you got 1 billion followers,
You gotta
you've
sell
got nothing
something.
to sell, you're an idiot.
I'm watching my ex-missus. We stayed up all night to buy like Khloe Kardashian's makeup kit. It was £300, and I was like, "Oh,
I'll get it for you." And we both sat up till midnight and clicked on the fucking thing as soon as you could. Went to checkout.
Gone.
Gone. I couldn't have been any faster. And it's like, dude, it was £300. Maybe she had 50,000 of them to sell, or 100,000 of them to sell, and they all sold out within 30 seconds because she has a fucking huge following. She's got like 100 million plus followers.
Hormozy said that. Hormozy said that about, what's the other one? Kendall.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm really good at business and I've learned a lot of shit. And she became a billionaire overnight. And I'm 27. He's worth like 30 mil at the time. And he goes, I fucking just, it ate at me. It just fucking crippled me. He goes, I know more than her.
Yeah, that doesn't matter because she's got so many eyeballs on her.
And then his whole thing on content production changed. He was the exact same as all these other people. He was like, I want to be the rich guy with no face out there, da-da-da-da-da. And he just didn't realize the fact that he was actually shooting himself in the foot. He had a consult call with Grant Cardone. His missus bought it for him for Christmas because what do you get a guy that's got $30 million for Christmas?
Yeah.
You buy him access to other people that have more than them.
Scientologist.
Yeah. Crazy dude, scam artist. But anyway, 120 grand for like half an hour or whatever it was, or like 2 hours of his time.
His missus bought him that?
Yeah, something like that as a Christmas present. He sat there and he goes, what do you reckon I should do about my business? Blah, blah, blah. He goes, pull up your Instagram. And he pulled up his Instagram. He's posting once or twice a day. And he goes, bro, I posted 10 times this morning.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm fucking belt feeding this thing unbelievable numbers. He goes, you got to 10x what you're posting. Since then, he went up to like 3,000 pieces of content a month or something like that. 300. And it's across YouTube, Instagram, it's across everything. It's across X, LinkedIn, everything. And his business has just gone, and that was a thing beforehand. And then he also conjoined that with the Kylie Jenner thing, and he was like, why the fuck did she... And then he looked at The Rock with his tequila.
Yeah.
Then he looked at McGregor with the whiskey, and then he looked at a bunch of other guys, and he goes, oh, it's brand.
It's brand power.
If you have a brand, it doesn't matter what the fuck you do. Obviously, the thing you need to be selling is ethical, and it's a good product, and it actually does deliver what it says it's going to deliver. But if you supercharge that with a personal brand... Gary Vee's been shouting from the rooftops for fucking 20 years about this shit.
Yeah.
And whether you like him or not, whether you think he's a fucking retard or not, he's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's brand power.
Yeah.
Right? What's interesting about what you were saying before with like, you know, it's delaying gratification. You listen to Chris Williamson and Alex Hormozy talk about this. When Chris Williamson first started his podcast, he's like, I was putting out, you know, he had a broadcast thing with 1,000 people on his WhatsApp. And he's sending messages out, hey, can you like, subscribe, Posting podcasts 3 times a week, 0 views. For weeks on end. 0 views.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, it's going to fucking happen.
And you know what? It's super cool to look back on that and go, this is the story that made the 3 million subscribers or whatever he has now.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be worth it if he didn't have that at the initial beginning.
Yes.
It really wouldn't be worth it. And there's the same thing for my first 8 iterations of the thing that I tried in business. They all steaming pile of shit. But I needed that to be able to understand how much effort that goes into it and how much it would actually be worth it when it did come. Because if it did come immediately, I would have taken advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would have let that happen. It's like these guys that run a crypto pump and then they just get $1 million out of nothing, and then their ability to work hard is completely fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
And they'll never put any effort into anything again because they turned $500 into $1 million in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
How could you come back from that?
It's tough. It's tough to come back
The
from
worst thing that could happen to you.
Yeah.
You know, lotto winners Are you really going to walk in front of that?
Love
We're
that.
just talking about my life.
Bobby Sandu.
I forgot.
What an idiot. Robert, pull your head in.
Get out of here.
Yeah, Lotto winners
Sandu.
within 5 years, I think it's 80% of them are flat broke again.
Really?
Yeah, it's the worst thing that happened to them because they don't understand how to gain, multiply, or keep money. So they
Like,
get a
they're
shit
just
ton of money
fucking-
automatically, but with none of the earning of it.
Like the lottery winners, isn't it?
But they get all the problems with it because their family and their friends come around and they're like, oh, you got a new car. Like, what are you doing differently? Like, oh, we won the lotto. Oh, can you borrow 10 grand?
Yeah.
And then the piranhas come out and then people want to oh, here's my business idea. And you have no idea how to vet business ideas.
Because you've never had to fucking do anything.
Because you've never had to earn it. So you know what? Oh, here's Uncle Joe can have 100 grand to start his toilet business and just fucking goes nowhere because he just stole 100 grand off you.
Yeah.
And then it's just the worst thing ever. So I think like people wishing that their account would blow up. Like I'm glad my account didn't blow up when my post was shit because then everyone know how shit I was.
Yep.
That would suck.
It's fucking interesting. You got to put the graft in. Same for jits. You got to start. You've just got to fucking put the graft in. There's no secrets.
There really isn't.
There's no secrets.
There really isn't. And everybody wants to talk about like different styles and all that sort of stuff, but everybody who's been successful has just put in fucking hours and hours and hours. Like Kobe Bryant used to shoot 1,000 shots every practice.
Yep.
He trained twice a day. You know how long it takes to shoot 2,000 shots?
Long time, man.
Fucking forever.
It's his life. It's his life. He's obsessed with it.
His story is really cool because he would train all the way throughout the summer and he'd do like 3-a-day sessions. And he'd go, by the time we get to 16 years of age, there's no amount of summers that they can train to catch up with me because I'm so far ahead.
Yeah.
That was his mentality.
True.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
That's fucking savage.
I was like, okay, that makes sense. And that was even more motivation to get the business running, and that started because I needed to eclipse a physical time debt that I'd incurred from not training the sport at a younger age.
Yeah.
So now if my mind is on it 24/7 and I'm not working a shit job that I hate and I'm not teaching other people how to lose weight and I'm not doing all that sort of stuff, 24/7 my mind is on how to get better because I'm teaching other people how to do it. So I'm like, oh, I'm actually figuring things out through the teaching process.
And you're thinking about it, yeah.
24/7. That's all I wanted. All I wanted was to be able to think about this 100% of the time. That was it.
Last question. Do you have like a wake up routine? Do you have like any routines and shit you do? You just fucking get up and go.
That's gay.
That's gay.
That
Yeah.
cold showers are gay.
I knew you were going to say that as well.
Saunas are gay.
Yeah.
No, saunas are good, but yeah, 8 a.m. wake up, straight to breakfast. I have a hydration drink,
Yeah.
straight to breakfast with the missus every morning, and then drop her home, takeaway coffee on the way to the gym,
And just crack on.
nicotine gum, straight down the nozzle,
Yeah.
and then just get ripped into training.
Cool.
And then that's pretty much every single day.
Do you write down your goals or anything?
Yeah, massive into that.
Yeah,
You fucking have to.
Because I've seen your phone and it's got, you know, I used to have a big whiteboard and
Yeah.
I put my like photos and shit on one on there.
Everybody poo-poos that. And
You
I
can't,
did,
yeah.
you know what? I did for a long time, but you know why? I used to do the vision board thing in an incorrect way and I'd put up all the goals and things that were there. But then I wouldn't commit that to daily actions that would have inevitably eventuated me attaining them.
Okay.
And so I used to look at it with resentment. Because
I'm not there yet.
Because I knew I wasn't putting in the effort to get there.
Okay, yeah.
So it was actually a self-destructive cycle in a negative way.
Interesting.
Versus if you write down the big, hairy, audacious goal, the 1 year, the 2 year, the 3 year, the 5 year, doesn't matter what it is, you put it down and you deduce it to daily actions that you know will get you there. So one of my goals for the year, which is hilarious because I'm only this far away from it already.
Yeah.
I was shadow banned on Instagram for 3 months after September, called someone a fag in a comment, and they were like, see you later.
You got to be careful with the fucking
You do
comments.
have to be careful.
Every time I go on something, I'm like, first of all, for me to comment on someone else's thing is pathetic. Like it should just be flames or a clap.
Yeah.
Or fucking forget it. Like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? Like, fuck, you just look like every other loser.
I'm only biting back on people that come to my page.
But even then, it's
Whenever
like,
I comment something on anyone else's page, it's always congrats, like good for you, blah,
Yes.
blah, blah. Like Lovato posted his 2024 year wrap up.
And
I
you're
said,
like,
you know
that's
what?
sick. Yeah.
Good on you, man. Merry Christmas to you and your beautiful family. And he sent me a message backwards saying, thanks, I really appreciate it, blah, blah, blah. Lovato Jr. is a fucking unbelievable person.
Nice
He's
fella.
fucking great. He's done everything. He's Bellator champion, ADCC all the time. Like, fucking awesome.
yeah.
Fuck, where were we before
Goals.
Lovato? Yes, yeah, putting it all down. You have to be able to distill it to daily actionable tasks because otherwise you're not going to get there ever.
Yep.
And so I wrote down the goal of having 100k Instagram followers.
You're almost there, 20k away.
I'm almost there. But the funny thing was, I was shadow banned, but I posted all the way through the ban because I'm like, I'm not going to give up on this just because it's not going to be getting the reach, because all the people that already follow me are going to be getting rewarded for following me.
Yeah.
And so I decided that I was going to do 2 a day, roughly around that time, just before ADCC or just after ADCC, somewhere in there. But it's almost been 5 months now of 2 a day every day.
That's fucking
every
sick.
single day, even though I knew the reach was going out, even though I knew that no one from any other followers, unless they shared it on their story, no one else would see it except people who followed me.
You know how I look at this that stuff, man? It's like even though it's not going that well, and the posts they're not firing off that much. It's a learning process, but by the time you do hit some viral posts, they see your thing and they go, "Oh wow, he's got heaps of good shit."
Yeah,
follow.
Absolutely.
It's like the one that you did. I don't know how many followers you got from that 12 million. However many millions.
Oh, like 3,000 or 4,000 or something.
Yeah, because they'll see that video, like, you know, millions of people are seeing that. They'll click on your page and be like, oh, he's got heaps of shit. Follow.
Yeah,
bang,
that's right.
And it just fucking climbs.
The thing is as well, it's
you have to have that library of good shit.
And if you're not getting the results, like you work, you don't get the result, but you get better. Yep. And you work, you don't get the result, but you get better. Then, all of a sudden, work, life changes overnight.
Yep.
And it fucking does.
It happens
all the time. It happens very, very quickly. I imagine your journey would have been like 3,000 followers, something like that. And then you get like one client and then they give you a shout out and then blah, blah, blah. And like...
I at 7,000 followers, I had 100 subscribers on my Matt Strong program. Only at 7K followers.
How did that?
It was amazing. And then I did one post because I seen this rugby guy do a post. I'm like, I could copy that same thing, but do it for jiu-jitsu. And I got 11K followers over like, I don't know, like 2 weeks.
Isn't it nuts?
And it just boosted me up. And then suddenly you've got higher followers and more people follow you because you got high followers and it just fucking...
And now you've got way more than Owen.
Huh? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's the perfect thing as well, because like, you're like, are you competing sometimes or not really?
Yeah, I mean, I just train 3-4 times a week. I compete, like, if the boys are competing in the big comp, I'm like, let's do it, yeah.
And that's the thing, it's like you're leveraging your knowledge of jiu-jitsu without even really being a world beater in competition or winning world titles.
Yeah.
So like, if you can do it, why the fuck can't...
My thing's like, I've had back surgery, I just want to fucking train 3-4 times a week, and if I can compete, I'm going to go for it. You know, like the boys are doing Europeans, I'm going to do Europeans because it's going to be fun to get out there. Boys are doing ADCC trials, I'm going to do Masters.
Yeah.
Like, why would I not do that?
There's so many ways to do it.
And my mindset before was like, oh, fuck competing, da-da-da. I'm like, that's like, just, why are you doing that to yourself? Just go out there, have a crack. Because you're going to win, like you said, you're going to win or learn, right? Yeah. And you're going to learn more from fucking up anyway. So.
100%. But yeah, I think that's why it's important to preface all of this stuff and like people above you won't shit on you and all that sort of shit. Because people instill that in, to go back to the goals thing, people instill that within their goal writing as well, and they think, oh, what could I possibly achieve? But they think in such a limited window. So the worst thing you can do is aim small and hit.
Yes.
Not aim big and miss.
Aim as high as you can.
Because if you aim big and you miss, you'll still be 30%, 40% further than what you could have imagined. And I always tell the story, it's the same thing. I never set like a very hard, tangible goal of doing the whole black belt thing in under 4 years, but I'd heard about Kit Dale doing it in 4. And that was just enough for me to put in enough effort. Yeah, shout out Kid Dale. He actually asked me to be in his movie, but he was like, look, it's late notice, it's going to be at this time, we can't pay you much, and it's in LA. And I was like, I'm not doing that. That's way too far away. Yeah. And it was really like around Christmas time, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah, thanks for the offer, but I'm not going to do that. And, where were we before Kid Dale? That's annoying.
People helping you out, chilling on you.
Yeah, that's right. It's like you aim small and you hit. That's the issue. So when you're doing those sorts of things, it's like, all right, big goal, big thing you want to achieve. Deduce it down to daily habits and behaviors that you can commit to no matter what. Rain, hail, shine, happy, unmotivated, motivated, angry, sad, whatever. Just on autopilot. And then that's where the magic starts to happen. And don't expect it to happen immediately because it won't. You will get a good rush of feeling good because you're ticking boxes, but don't expect that to last. And don't expect that to continue throughout the entirety of it, because there's going to be days where you wake up and you go, "Fuck, can't."
Of course you will. And that's like discipline versus motivation kind of thing.
Exactly.
You just get on with it. Just fucking. You know you're meant to do it. You know you're meant to do weights 3 times a week. You know you're meant to go jiu-jitsu every day. Just show up.
And I think signaling that, depending on what you believe in, but signaling that to the universe and whatever's going on around us at the moment, signaling that you're not going to quit no matter how hard it gets or no matter how shit it is really fucking rewarding, because it'll be the direct proportion of energy you give out is the exact of what you get back. And so if you just continue to put it out, no matter how bad it sucks, no matter how embarrassing you think it is, no matter how shit the videos are,
you'll get better.
eventually you'll get better. And whose podcast? I was talking to my mate Ben. He had a podcast with me last week. Post Malone's first music video ever is the shittest thing you've ever seen. It's the most disgusting fucking white wall shit camera, filmed on like a Sony Ericsson flip phone. Amazing. It's the worst.
Amazing that you can find that. Now he's the biggest artist, one of the biggest artists in the world.
Yep. And he didn't let that stop him from continuing the process and continuing to move forwards.
Powerful shit.
And it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. There's people like Gordon couldn't even win trials. Got beat by, what's his face? Who did I beat in the first round?
Yeah, I remember I was listening to this on the way over.
Mike Perez. So, fuck you, Gordon. I got to win over a guy that you don't.
Huge. Like that.
He sent me, he goes, you would be the only person wearing that watch with those Crocs at ADCC. He goes, you're a fucking dickhead. And then
he'd be low key loving that though.
He loved it. Yeah. He was like, you know what? I like kind of respect it because no one else would do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I won't say, or I don't 100% know who gave him one. He was like, I need to get a Rolex. I don't have one. Blah blah blah. And he ended up happening upon one, and it's a beautiful like green with the gold and all that sort of stuff. And he sent it to me straight away. And he's like,
he sent you the Rolex?
Yeah. No. He sent me a photo. He sent me a photo of it. And he's like, cop this. Faggot or something like that. And I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I was like, yours is more expensive than mine. I get it. Ooh.
But again, you're setting goals there, man. You're making them happen.
That's the thing. And I always wanted one. It's not like an outward display or anything like that. It's for me. Like,
that's something you wanted.
I was talking about this at dinner last night, actually, with my missus. Oh, sorry, on the weekend at my sister's engagement party. And I was talking to one of my mates. I've been mates with him for 23 years. And I said to him, I was like, the reason I wanted to do something like this, because no one in my family has ever been able to do it. Yeah. And I also want to give something, like I don't have generational heirlooms that have been passed down to me at all. Like I thought, what a fucking great thing it would be to buy one of these and then wear it all the time or whatever. But then put it away in a box for my son to have when he's like 18 or 21. And get it engraved and be like, this is the story and this is what you now get to be a part of, like the lineage and the history and all that sort of stuff that it's gone through. And like before I like won world titles and all that sort of stuff was like a little sort of thing for me. And like it was more so after my second trials when I was like, I put in some fucking hard effort to do this and I can
reward yourself.
I can reward myself to do that sort of thing. So I'm going to. And every day it's a reminder. It's like, all right, well, this is what your unwavering focus can deliver you if you want that. And I'm like, you know what a fucking perfect reminder. Like I got shit all over my desk. Like I got my black belt on my desk above a photo frame, and then I got my trials medal there, and I sit in front of that every day while I'm watching videos for students, and I'm doing email campaigns, and I'm doing all this shit, constant top of mind fucking reminders. And I've got the ADCC medal box in my my little studio at home.
Sick.
And I've got like other bits and pieces, other accolades. And I think one of the big things, to go back to the goal thing, is that people don't remind themselves of all their successes in the past, and they look backwards and they think, oh, I'm a failure, I'm a fuck up, blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be that one time you scrunched the piece of paper at school, looked at the bin, shot it, and it went straight in.
Yeah.
Like that little winning feeling. I know it doesn't sound like much, but that little winning feeling does make a big difference. It's like when you're driving through traffic and you just get green light, green light, green light, green light. Take note of that, take the dopamine from that and go, fuck, I can actually have success of a pathway in my life. Prove to myself that I can do things, even though it's such a small, seemingly insignificant thing. Because people do that on the opposite side. They go, oh, well, when I was in year 7, I got up and I read the paper and I fucked up and I got really embarrassed and that's why I can't do public speaking now.
It's an insane thing to think. It's insane. It's like, dude,
it was 50 years ago.
Go to Toastmasters, figure it out. Like, do you know what I mean? You could just, exactly.
But that's what they're doing for the other side. They're using a past failure and then reliving that experience again and again and again in their head, and that's stopping them from progressing. Why wouldn't you tune it differently and go, I can use a past success, no matter how small it is, to tune myself to think that that's how I operate now. And now I'm just looking for those sorts of things where I can prove to myself I've done something in the past. I said I was going to do it, I did it, I set out, I got the goal, and now I can prove to myself I can do that again, no matter how small, no matter how big.
Well, homology goes up building up evidence. Build up evidence.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's why goal setting is so important. You set a goal and you achieve your goal, you're like, wow, look back on the year. And the first time I ever did it, I wrote all my goals out for the year. 6 months into the year, I'd done more. I was like,
perfect.
You get that hit.
Yeah, and you know how good it is writing it down in a diary, pen to paper, or on your phone, or wherever it is, and looking at it 2 years after the fact.
Yeah.
You're like, holy fuck, the things that I was aiming at was so low.
Dude, I remember
oh my God.
When I was working in the gym, like fucking 60 hours a week, and I was so tired, And I was kept writing a piece of paper. I will train Roger Gracie. I'll make X amount a month. X amount a month.
Really?
Yeah, I wrote that every single day.
Really?
And then when COVID happened, I opened my own gym. 6 or 7 months later, I was doing exactly that.
Wow.
I was like, fuck, man.
That's cool.
You can make it happen.
Why Hodger?
At that point, he was like...
I mean, he's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to train him. I just want to get him into my gym.
Isn't that fucking cool?
Yeah. I was like, I need to make this happen. I'm going to make X amount a month. I will train him and be friends with the family.
Wow.
You can make it happen. I wrote it every single day in my diary.
That's mad.
Yeah.
I love hearing shit like that. That's fucking sick.
Yeah, but you just got to fucking just go for it. Fucking go for it.
You absolutely have to. I'm a firm believer in that. And it's like, I used to be against it because I was saying, I wasn't putting in the effort to go and do it. So I'm like, oh, goal setting's stupid. You don't need to do it, blah, blah, blah. But that was just me.
Mentality.
That was me aiming low and hitting.
You're still hitting your goals.
Correct. I was hitting my goals because I didn't set any.
They're just pathetic.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you don't set them, they will be set for you.
Yeah.
And you'll be living a life that you don't want to live because it'll be someone else's dream. And that's how you end up in a shitty job, like Sebastian was talking about just before, achieving someone else's dreams, working for someone he doesn't want to do.
Yep.
Where he quite easily could be doing the thing that he wanted to do.
Bro, seeing his eyes as well, and just looking at him, like I think he's grown like 2,000 followers since I saw him last. And I was like, dude, fucking go, man. Keep crushing. Keep fucking going.
There's nothing ever stopping you from doing it except yourself.
Yep.
Except the voices in your own head. I remember watching is it Stephen Cooper? No. What's the Jiu Jitsu YouTube guy? He does the documentaries. Stuart Cooper. Yeah. Stuart Cooper. That's good. He filmed a video with Craig, and Craig was like, I sold my car to go to Kazakhstan trials. And I went all in. I just didn't have the money for a ticket. And I just went, fuck it, I'm selling my car. I'm going.
Yeah.
I have no business doing this.
At all costs.
And it just went and fucking did the thing. And then I think that ADCC submitted Leandro Lowe.
Yeah.
And you're like...
Fucking, it's crazy, yeah.
And you hear about it all the time. You hear like Gary and Gordon, they would win an EBI just so they could afford the tolls to get to training.
Yes.
From their house.
Yeah, I remember them talking about that. You're making $300 a week, and you're like, I'm just going to train 3 times a day. Just my life's already shit. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's just double down.
That was all it was, and I was like, this is a huge risk, but I'm doing it. I don't care. And I think once you commit to that, there's like my favorite rap group is the Suicide Boys. I listen to them all the time, and they made a death pact with each other. So they were cousins, and they used to be hanging out with them, and then their parents decided they were no good for each other as rat bags. Okay. So they separated them, and then they end up rekindling their relationship at like 18 years of age. One was a producer, and one was a singer. Okay. And they both loved music, and they're like, oh, this is perfect. You do this, I'll do this. We'll do it together. Sick. After they were failing on their own. Got to a stage where they weren't really making much progress. They put stuff out on SoundCloud, and it kind of sucked. They both said to themselves, the reason why they call themselves the name is because they made a death pact that if they didn't make it by 30, they'd kill each other. They'd take their own lives, but they'd do it to each other. Boys. Yeah, that's the pact of the name.
Fuck.
And since they made that pact, they are the highest earning, highest recording, unsigned artists in the world, and they're the weirdest, fucking most retarded music. You can't even listen to their lyrics and make sense of it. And they're full-on weirdos. They got face tattoos, everything. Used to be mad drug addicts. Yeah. They make like music that I really enjoy, but it's a very small audience.
It's a niche, yeah, but
niche.
That niche fucking loves it.
Yes, correct. And then so they had a couple songs blow up on TikTok, and they got 1 million Spotify subscribers overnight.
Wow.
And just went. Whoosh. And it was because they made that pact to themselves. They're like, we will do this or we'll die. There's no turning back. There's no reason to quit. Like, the only reason you fail is if you quit. Yeah. And so if you just never fucking stop walking in that direction, you'll eventually get to the place you said you were going to go. I'm like, man, that's fucking sick. That's sick. And you hear about all these guys, no matter what they went through, no matter how much failure they went through, and even Daniel Cormier, he's had a fucking horrible past. And he was just like, I'm going to prove to myself that I can still be a fucking champion amidst all the shit that I've gone through.
And he's a superstar.
Man.
Bellator champ.
He lost
UFC light champ.
Lost his daughter.
Really?
Lost his daughter at like 8 years of age or 5 years of age or something.
Oh my God.
And like had heaps of death in his family and started UFC very late after a wrestling career that kind of didn't really go anywhere. Like, I mean, he wrestled in the Olympics,
he was the captain of the Olympic team.
Yeah, but he never like got to the height that he really wanted to.
Yeah,
and then had all that stuff going on. Like his baby girl dies and still persevered, still made it. And he had this vision that he was going to be a champion. He just didn't know it was going to be in MMA.
Yeah.
And like similar with Conor McGregor, he had this idea that he was going to be a football superstar with the crowd going crazy. He just didn't know the superstar was in another sport.
Interesting.
I did the same thing. I talked about it with Ben. I would kick goals in my front yard. There was 2 trees in my front yard, and I kicked goals towards the house of like a rugby league goal. And my dad was always like, "Don't fucking kick the ball at the house. You'll break the window." I broke the window.
Yeah.
And he knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'd kick goals, and I would have a vision of like a State of Origin game or an Australian game where I would be kicking the goal and the crowd would go fucking crazy.
Interesting.
And I didn't realise, but when I got to ADCC in 2022, I got that flashback of that feeling. Because I never made the NRL, I never made it to the top leagues. Yeah. I played one game in Anzac Day where I had a massive crowd around me, but it didn't have that same familiar sort of thing. I didn't realise the whole thing I was dreaming about the entire time was Jiu Jitsu. Sick. It was just being in front of a massive fucking crowd, going out and doing the thing. And I believed wholeheartedly it was rugby league for ages. And then that ended up not coming to fruition. And then I still didn't even think about it.
You've got a different avenue now.
Yeah, well, I didn't even think about it for years and years and years. And then when ADCC 2022 came around, I'm like, I'm going to be in a massive stadium full of a crowd full of people. And that like envisionment came back to me straight away. I was like, holy fuck.
That's fucking
Turns
sick.
out if you stay true to the thing and you just fucking work hard.
Just keep fucking going.
Yeah, and it'll change, like it'll change clothes. It'll change environments, but it's still the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking hell, how cool is that?
Man, thanks for your time today, man. I feel like we can keep chatting away.
Oh, for sure. We didn't even get into spoiler alerts.
Maybe we'll have to do another one. Maybe later in the week about the conspiracy spoiler alerts.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll see how we get on.
That's never lasting more than 10 hours on Spotify.
Where can people find you, bro? What Insta?
HBU Coaching, all platforms, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram.
What do you sell them?
I don't do Facebook or anything. I think Facebook is just for boomers now, right?
To old people.
Yeah, it's for old people.
What's your offering right now?
So if you want to get better at Jiu-Jitsu faster and follow my footsteps from white to black belt in less than 4 years, I've got a program called Your Game. It's basically detailing everything that I've done. I've created a system of learning that I found very helpful for beginners. I've had over 2,000 students in it at the moment, just run through at any one period of time. We've had 40 belt promotions in 2 years. And all of those belt promotions are happening within 41.6% faster than what they ordinarily would happen. So white to blue usually takes around 18 months to 2 years. Blue to purple takes 3 to 5 years. Brown takes about 8 years. Black takes about 10 years. Just did all the numbers from that. And I've got purple belts that are in 19-month territory. I've got blue belts in 7-month territory. I've got all that sort of stuff. And I don't take complete credit for that, of course. They try and give me the credit for it. I don't fucking take it because it's their hard work, it's their training. I'm not with them every day, but I've got even one of my best students, Lindsay. She did Pan Ams and she wanted to do Worlds, blue belt mastered 1, and she ended up fucking her knee up. Had no idea what it was. Didn't want to get scans to confirm what it was, and she's like, "Do you reckon I should compete or not?" I said, "Look, it's completely up to you whether you do or not, but the story you're going to tell your kids one day will be like basically written off this." Yeah. Like just trying to fire her up a little bit.
Oh shit, yeah.
And she like took that, ran with it, and fucking won.
Wow.
She's now a Masters World Champion in blue belt. And she had no idea she was capable of that. And she goes, every goal I wrote down this year had been achieved, and I got a purple belt last week.
Fuck yeah.
And like won Pan Ams, won Worlds, got a purple belt. She's like, I didn't even dream that I could have done it this fast.
That's you putting out good work, man.
Really fucking cool. And I hope like it speaks to people. Like obviously my journey is inspirational for some people, but like I just want to see people having a fucking crack at shit.
Having a good life.
That's what I want to see. I want to see people setting shit that they didn't think they could achieve and then going out and proving to themselves they could. Whether it's for them, for their family, for their kids, for whoever. Like I live a lot of my life based on what my future children will read about me.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that legacy is really a thing because I don't know my granddad's dad at all.
Yeah. And after generations will be gone anyway.
Exactly right. But at least for my children and at least for the people I have personal impact on. Like I had a guy message me not too long ago. I've got a seminar coming up 2 weeks away in the Gold Coast.
Same.
And he said to me, he goes, he had some troubles with his health and his family and all that sort of stuff. And he goes, I started watching your videos, didn't even know what jiu-jitsu was. And I started training recently.
Sick.
And I've lost a bunch of weight. I've turned my life around.
You've helped change that guy's life.
Yeah. And he goes, I hopefully, I don't have enough money to come to the seminar, but like, hopefully I win the raffle. They're doing a raffle for a free ticket. Yeah. I said, fuck that. You're coming. I'll pay for it.
Yeah, done.
Yeah. I was like, I'll pay for your ticket. And it's just little bits and pieces like that that give you the opportunity to be able to change somebody's outlook on life from taking them from a shit place to a great place. Like, how selfish of me to say that me being embarrassed by putting out a video would stop that.
Yeah.
No fucking way.
Yeah,
Not a chance.
if you got a good message to send, just fucking people should just fucking go for it.
And you're gonna fuck it up, and you're gonna say the wrong thing, and you're gonna piss people off anyway.
Exactly.
But you were gonna do that in fucking secrecy, regardless. So you may as well fucking do it.
Have a crack.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much for that.
Hey, my pleasure.
We'll have those links below, guys. Remember, like, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify.